Hello and welcome to the Computer Game Show. My name's David Turner. I'm here with James Farley.
Hello.
And with Matt Murray.
Hello.
And a special guest this week. It's Andy Smith from Spilt Milk Studios. Why can I never say that? I can never say your name and then your studio name straight afterwards. It's so weird. Sorry, I've stepped all over your hello there, but
no, it's
hello.
Fine. It was only in German. It's fine. I was just showing off.
Well, welcome to the show. Are you excited?
I'm
you must be pretty
excited.
buzzing.
I am. I've got a couple of white wines in me, and I'm ready for the evening.
You were supposed to be on last week, but you balls that all up.
Yeah.
So you're on probation this week. Do you know what's
the thing is, he's on probation, yet he turns up to work half pissed. If I was nervous on my first day, it's a huge opportunity for you, Andy. It's unprofessional in a way.
I'm just really nervous. What can I say?
Don't blame me. Do you know what? Like, it's pretty nuts because we were saying, we're trying to plan out the next few shows or whatever, and I can't believe how quickly this is coming around because we've got Andy on this week. Next week is the Game of the Year draft. We've got to pick our top 4 games each and then put them together in a list of 12. And then the week after that is our Game of the Year show. It's come around that quickly. It's absolutely insane. So Andy, you're not one of the main ones, yeah? So if you were to be on the draft next week, what 4 would you put forward?
I mean, Zelda's straight in, right? It's got to be.
Yeah.
I think Mario Odyssey's got to be in there as well. Late to the year, but it's just incredible. I'd be struggling for the other 2, not because there aren't a million brilliant games, but
what's in contention though? Like, what springs to mind? So,
Total War 2 on PC has been amazing. It's probably the nerdiest thing any of us have played this year, but it is just epic. And I've just started Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and that seems ridiculous as well.
People are saying that's pretty good.
Yeah. SteamWorld Dig 2, I think that's actually got to be in there because it's so polished and so much fun. And it killed a few train journeys. That was a fantastic game.
Is that all it takes? Just to make that commute just a little bit better? Straight in the Game of the Year list.
It's the missed stop rule, isn't it? How many stops do you miss?
One to criticise, but you're not feeling like a real computer game show person with that list because we were talking about this in the week, and Sean said something because Sean is going to be on the Game of the Year show, and he was saying, well, I've been thinking about my 4 and none of you lot would have played them, so I don't know how I should do this really. Do I just nominate my 4? And I went, what are you talking about? What, is Mario and Zelda not on that list? Well, yeah, but other people are going to put that in. And you just think, right, okay, so now people, we're already thinking ahead tactically. We all want Mario on that list, but there are other games that you want on that list just so you could talk about them. So is it going to be like a game of chicken when none of us are going to mention Mario and hope that someone else does until the last bit?
That'd be amazing. Oh, actually, guys, we realised there's no Mario or Zelda. Okay, fine. Let's do it. And also, if we're going to choose 4, but it has to get narrowed down to 12, is that it? We all lose one?
I'm being thick.
Would it be 16?
It's 16, isn't it? Yeah, I'm just being stupid. Yeah, it's 16 that we go for. So we're I've been writing games down already, scrubbing some out, replacing some others. And I was saying in the week, we're going to have to give the listeners a chance to nominate one again, aren't we?
No, definitely,
that was too good last year. We've got a...
Yeah, but you know what it's going to be, don't you? Just to annoy me, it's going to be PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, isn't it?
Oh, God.
Obviously.
That's if Matt doesn't nominate that. Matt's probably going to nominate that.
If Matt nominates that, I'll lose any respect I've got for him.
I'm totally with you, James. If he nominates that, then it's like, what have you played it for? 2 hours?
Like I'm going to give anything away. So next week, so it's the 4th today. So this show will be out. So basically, it comes out on the 12th, doesn't it? On Xbox.
Yeah.
And we're recording our
So Matt's going to hammer it all day just so he can nominate
40
it.
hours in. And you're like, how long have you played it? Well, 34 hours according to this. I've had a whole week off work.
on Twitch. That doesn't count,
I've had a whole week off work.
So that's the schedule then. So this week, Andrew. Next week, the draft. And then the week after that, the Game of the Year show. And then we are done for the year. So, Matt, let's get to feedback. Let's go.
Romeo, done. This first bit of feedback comes from Haze Red Mist. Gentlemen, love the show as always, but I have some feedback for you on David's return, chiefly on Farley's demeanour. It's clear now that what we have with David and Farley is a long-suffering couple who know each other's ticks, buttons and triggers. They know where the arguments lead. David battering James into submission, whether right or wrong, and that is why Farley is so easily and quickly exasperated. A couple of arguments last week that demonstrate this. Destiny Bright Engram's argument. James's point was clear, concise, and correct, and David didn't actually disagree, but argued a toss anyway.
It's true. That argument was really funny because basically we agreed with each other, but you still wanted to argue with me about it, and because you assumed that, you assumed my position even though it wasn't what you thought it was, and then still continued to argue anyway, and then by the end kind of agreed that, we kind of agreed that we agreed with each other. It was stupid.
Did we?
Yeah.
That don't sound like me.
Yeah.
Go on.
Next one, Animal Crossing argument. James tried unsuccessfully to tell David how he interprets Animal Crossing's aims and gameplay, and almost gives himself an aneurysm due to the usual back and forth before Matt joins in to ridicule him near the end.
I'll be honest, right? I didn't I know that there's a big difference between the two games. I just wanted to get a rise out of James on that one.
It's going to work because it's something I care about. And
yeah, I know, James. I'm sorry, mate. It's just it was just such an easy target. And
it is true though. But when I listened back to it last week, you were like, "Oh my, James!" And then it just like, "Well, yes, okay."
but the thing is though, James used all the wrong words to describe it. You were like, some of the stuff he was saying about him. There's no exploration. What are you talking about?
There isn't exploration. I don't want to get into this again.
I agree with you. There's no exploration in the mobile game. There's no exploration in the fucking 3DS game either.
Yes,
no,
there is.
Not. There's like 4 areas that you go to.
There's not 4 areas. What? How long did you play this game for?
But
Seriously?
15 to 20 hours. Yeah.
Oh.
There was there's your town. There's the island.
That's not the point, though. It's not the fact that there's 4 areas. It's the fact that different things happen in those areas all the time.
Okay. So you've now already, in this little conversation, you've changed from saying, there are not just 4 areas, to saying,
no, but exactly,
there's
a
just
subtlety
4 areas.
to this. This is the problem, right? And it's what I've been thinking about this the last couple of days, actually. And it's what I'm going to start calling Binary Dave. Because you just have to have something, either has to be completely one side or completely the other side. You can't see the nuance at all in anything. It's ridiculous. But go on, continue.
No, when you say exploration and there's nowhere to explore, it doesn't line up, does it, James?
What
also, that is the most.
Oh, for fuck's sake! It's not.
Raise your voice.
It's not. It's I can't.
I'm going to come in for James.
Words out.
I've got to come in for James.
I mean, what's happened here, Matt, is that I've literally said that I don't care, and I'm just doing it to wind James up, and I've still managed to wind him up to the point where he's raised his voice, he's shown it like he's causing a scene again. He put forward the geekiest diss I've ever heard in my life. Well, I thought about it recently, and I'm just going to call you Binary Dave.
You are Binary Dave.
Well, I'm going to call you a fucking bellend. How about that?
You already do. It's nothing new.
All right, cool. Let's get back to this email.
Binary Dave and Bella and James. Those are the nicknames.
I know which one I'll probably be.
In summary, step back on the email. In summary, I'm baffled that James doesn't require therapy for his constant abuse. Like a wife who just can't leave the husband she's sort of hated for years but still loves really.
Yeah, that's true. This guy gets it. Absolutely bang on. That's James and me.
Speaking of Animal Crossing, we had another tweet in from, I think to pronounce it as Padre, but I could be wrong. Anyway, in last week's show, in last week's show, was James dismissing Dave's opinion on Animal Crossing because he'd only played 15 to 20 hours, and at the same time rubbishing Stardew Valley for having not played it?
Exactly.
Well, actually, let's address that, because
let's Bella and James, let's do it.
No, because the thing is first of all, I have not at any stage rubbished Stardew Valley.
What the fuck?
I've said on numerous occasions. I've said on numerous occasions that it is a very good game. Okay, it's just not a game that I connect with. That's what I said. And also, I have played the game, so I can have an opinion on it.
So, James, how many hours of Stardew Valley have you actually played? Because I'm fairly sure on last week's show you said Dave hadn't played enough Animal Crossing to have a valid opinion. How long have you actually played Stardew?
Well, that is a contentious point because on the Switch, I played it for 5 hours. Or,
5 hours is
5
nothing.
hours. But
you need at least 20 minimum to get to an understanding of it.
I also played it on PS4 as well, and so
for 5 hours
for quite a long time as well. So I can't remember the exact time, but either way, I have actually played it, so I can.
I don't think you played long enough to really understand the nuance of the game, though.
There's a big difference between the two, Matthew. It's different, but yeah.
I don't know, they're pretty much the same game, aren't they? Right, come on.
Tom Dougherty, I agree with the Doctor, that's you, James, re Animal Crossing. The main titles have a certain magic, a feeling of randomness.
Exactly.
You can start a game... What? What?
He said, exactly.
Okay.
Dave, can we stop with the stupid nerd voice? Because it is just really ridiculous.
Well, I was hoping to ask you the same, to be honest with you, James. Go on, Karen, let's go.
You can start a game not knowing exactly what will occur in the town on that day. Animal Crossing Pocket Camp, however, gives you 100% of everything going in. It tells you 100% of everything going in, missing what makes Animal Crossing special for me. Have you been playing it at all, James, since in the last week?
I refuse to discuss the matter. Can we move on?
I refuse to discuss the matter. Listen, James, you can't refuse to discuss the matter. You can't do that.
No, because I can't talk about anything related to Animal Crossing, because as soon as I say anything, it's just abuse. And it's like, look, this is a game series that means a lot to me, and I really enjoy it a lot. And Animal Crossing Pocket Camp is not that, and I don't want to play it. And I just want to move on and forget it exists. So just move on.
See, I think
Okay.
James is powered by optimism. Weirdly, because James, you seem less able to perform a coherent argument the more disappointed in a game you are. So
That is a fucking good point.
Yeah, with relation to this one, you're just so bitterly disappointed in it because it's your favourite thing ever that you're just I give up halfway through sentences, and it's kind of magical.
Yeah.
What do you think of that analysis there, James?
It's pretty spot on. It's difficult to just articulate why I'm so disappointed in this game. It's which is also why I'm not going to play it, because it's funny because you said that the other week, Dave. You said you didn't think I'd even bother with it because you thought I'd just be disappointed, and you were right. It's I shouldn't have done.
There is part of you that likes being disappointed. I think there's part of you that gets the blood going, and you know what I mean. You're like, yeah,
part of him.
So
it's all of him, isn't it?
No, you're misunderstanding it. It's the misfortune of other games that I don't care about that I enjoy more, not the ones that I care about. That's
right.
Different.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. Go on.
SMW. So last week we mentioned that someone had tweeted us, basically referring to some of our arguments previously about loot crates in the same manner that Antifa and the alt-right were arguing. I didn't give the person's name. That person is SMW. He tweeted
Why
again
are you
this
trying to
week.
protect SMW?
He tweeted again, just to clarify, just to explain the Nazi tweet, you guys were discussing death threats / loot crates, and Dave incidentally quoted Trump's "both sides are as bad as each other" quote. In no way do I think you guys are baddies.
Well, hold on. I didn't say the death threats were as bad as...
No, I think... No, what you said, you didn't say anything like that, but you just said that the people, complaining about it and the people, justifying it were just everyone was as bad as each other.
Right,
okay. So he's saying that you're like Trump, saying that there was badness on both sides.
Make loot crates great again, I think was the quote you said last week.
He's got some good ideas, that bloke. I tell you that. No, I can't even joke about it. He's a fucking knobhead, but whatever. Let's go.
That's it for follow-up. We also had loads of other comments on various things at Discord and whatnot, but those are the main ones. Thank you ever so much for anyone who left us some feedback. If you want to tweet us, it's at Computer Game Pod on Twitter if you want to give some more feedback, or email thecomputergameshow@gmail.com.
Time for the news.
So there's been some really exciting news this week, and we're going to kick off with Amiibo breakfast cereal.
Oh, mate, I'm all over this.
I know.
I cannot believe it's just in England.
It's depressing.
No,
isn't it?
you mean just in America?
Just in America, that's the place, isn't it?
Yeah,
so where I live.
it's annoying. I'm seriously thinking about importing a boxer.
I mean, I ain't going that mad, but I just, that might make breakfast time a little bit easier for us at the moment. That boy is Mario obsessed, and anything with Mario on it, he loves. So, and he's just saying, oh, I don't want that. I just want toast. And then you get him toast, and he won't eat a fucking toast. So yeah, that might have made things a little bit easier. Also, Mario, innit? No matter what it is, it's all good.
Also, the
got,
boxes
the
and
amiibo stuff
amiibo
as well, which is pretty interesting. It gives you hearts and coins and stuff. But
I think that's cool. I wish there was more of that stuff about. You know what I mean? And alright, it's effectively just feeding your child sugar and a way to force your child to want more sugar. But at the same time, amiibos. Like, I'd rather him eat that cereal than have those little plastic figurines everywhere, to be quite honest with you.
There's nothing wrong with the figures, David. They're fine.
I mean, it's Kellogg's in it, so chances are, if it's successful over there, we'll get it over here. But
Kellogg's have actually tweeted about it, saying we can confirm this product is being released in the US, but not currently in the UK. We will pass your feedback on.
I think the most interesting thing about all of this is that Nintendo are doing stuff that we never thought they'd do again. You know what I mean? Like, we thought. I don't know. It's weird. When the whole rumours of that there might be a new Super Mario film started circling, and we were like, "Why? When?" Like, I cannot believe that Nintendo would even entertain that idea again. And then you've got the theme park opening, and you've got
Rabbids crossover,
the cereals. Yeah, the Rabbids crossover. They're doing weird stuff at the moment.
They said they were going to do this, though. I mean, this was like part of the whole strategy thing, wasn't it? To sort of widen like the brand and let people know more about it and everything. And
yeah, I imagine there's a presentation deck and one whole slide was dedicated to cereal. How can we get in? How can we disrupt the cereal game?
But they've done this before, because there was cereal before, that they did in the US, like during the NES era. They did the same kind of stuff.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's like they're going back to those days, which I have zero problem with. Like, I'm not the sort of person that don't sell out, that's Mario or whatever. And I quite like the idea of a film. I think it would be pretty interesting. Did we actually talk about that announcement? We did,
yeah, we did, yeah.
We did, yeah.
Sort of saying that. Oh, no, I think you did with John on the show that I was on.
Oh, yeah, great episode, yeah. That's one of the all-timers.
Wow.
The weird thing is, so obviously, Switch is doing really well. Loads of games they released this year have been incredible. And yet, Nintendo are doing these sort of weird things. It's not like in the Wii U era they were doing this weird stuff. So maybe, anything you would think that would be the time they would take the risks to do the serial.
Really, you think so? No,
I don't know.
They could afford to take the risks.
They don't need to take the risks now. Whereas to get some, I don't know, good publicity potentially in the Wii U area, that's when I think, okay, let's just get Mario on serial. Do you think that was reeking of desperation? Whereas now they can afford to make risks.
Well, it's not really a risk, is it?
No, it's not.
No. But it feels like doing this sort of weird stuff might be something that a competitor might have to do to try and catch up to the person leading in the market.
Matt, why would they put out serials and all that when their consoles aren't selling? Surely now that they know that Mario's having a bit of a resurgence and stuff, it's like, okay, let's get the merchandise out there. Let's get this going again. Let's get this shit back running. Yeah.
Yeah. It's great. I like with Nintendo.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to see a lot more Mario, and I mean, I was at a kid's birthday party on Sunday, and one of the parents, because obviously Harry was wearing Mario shit and running around the place like pretending to be Mario. One of the parents said, "What's going on? Why is Mario everywhere now?" And I'm like, well, I guess because the games are selling well again, and they're really starting to push it. And honestly, more Mario about, I'm happier. So it's not a problem for me. Quite happy about all this. Yeah, I mean, James, you've seen it all over kids' TV recently, and yourself, Matt, I assume.
Yeah.
It's just nuts. Like they're selling Mario Kart 8 remote control things and all sorts of shit. It's absolutely pummeling kids' television at the moment. So they're going big. They're going big.
It's working though. My son's all over it. He wants to play like Mario Odyssey all the time. And
I told you that we had. We spoke to the nursery workers about Harry, right? Because they said, I don't know why, but he had an Italian accent for half of the day today. I swear to God, they said that to us. And we were
they didn't say he had a faux Italian accent, because that would have been better.
No. I don't know what's going on, but your son sounds a lot like Charles Martinet. And I'm trying to work out why that is. Yeah, so, I mean, cool. I likes it. Next.
Okay, so next we've got some loot crates. We've got some loot crate news.
No,
Great.
we're not. We're not seriously doing this again.
Well,
Hold on. We've got Andrew here.
We've got
is a
Mr. Loot
developer.
Crate.
Yeah. He's
Yeah.
done EGX talks. He knows what he's doing. He's brought games out. He's been there. He's done that.
Yeah, Andy, wasn't your EGX talk called "Why I Love Loot Boxes"? The Andy Smith story. And it was
Pretty
like
much, that was it. Yeah. I'm surprised you remember.
Well, for me, it was called
learned a lot.
skip to like 53 minutes in and see your plug. See the computer game, show your plug.
See your plug.
And then show your mum. Yeah, so
Right,
what's your stance on... should we do the story first?
Yeah, let's
do
do
the story
yeah,
first.
yeah.
So basically, the loot box changes have just gone live with Battlefront 2. So EA when they ended the microtransactions, said that they were obviously going to go back to this and that it was going to be sort of re-added in later, and now it's happened. So what's happened is it's the same system as before, but all they've done is they've changed it so that the speed at which you can earn the credits so that you can get stuff has been like increased like in a big way. And they've also upped the daily arcade mode credit cap, and you get more parts from loot boxes as well. So
Right.
obviously this doesn't solve the underlying problem with the loot boxes in the game, but they've just changed the system so that it's perhaps more palatable towards people, I think.
And what's the reaction been like? Have you seen any reaction to it?
Not yet, no, because it's just today, so I don't know what to think. But they have also been getting flack through, UFC 3 that's coming out.
Yeah, I heard that is just as bad as Battlefield.
Yeah, although, because the thing is, though,
Battlefront.
is from what I can gather, though, with the UFC thing, is it's based on the Ultimate Team model, which is the same as in FIFA, which means that it's kind of optional. But people are still mad because it's still this sort of same pay-to-win thing, but it was like that in FIFA as well. But it just really feels like people are just angry anyway because it's more, because it continues the loot crates thing.
It's a hot topic, yeah.
Yeah, and it's...
Okay, well, that's interesting. And Andy, why are you ruining our games? Why are you and your people ruining our games?
Because we hate everyone. Yeah, it's an interesting one because, like, I don't know, a lot of it's anecdotal, right? And so for me, I feel like the noise is coming from like a vocal minority of people. And what you said there, James, they've made the changes today, but there so far hasn't been an outcry. And it's like, do you know what? It's probably because, they haven't screwed it up or it's not all that offensive. Because I feel like every time they do anything wrong, there's like an outcry within hours, right? It's all instant and it just kicks off massively.
Yeah.
And then, so that's sort of one angle of it. I feel like if there's no noise, you're probably doing your job right. But I mean, you guys touched on this last week, I think it was, about the fact that, loot crates have come about and like variable pricing, if you want, like it's better than freemium because, you get games that are like 60 quid and then you still pay for DLC or loot crates, or you get free games with loot crates and all that kind of stuff. It has come about partly because of digital and like the reduction in costs of like, you don't have to print CDs and ship them to stores and stuff. But also, like, games are just really expensive to make. Like, they're crazy expensive and complicated to make. I'm doing it for a living and I get it wrong all the time. And that's with like, small scale projects with like 5 people working on it. So I can only imagine like the massive amounts of money that are flying around up in EA land. And they just, people buy a game for 60 quid, 50 quid. They take them back after a week and then that's that. And that's actually lost revenue to the company that made the game. So there has to be another way to supply, them with money so they can make a game and then you with a game because, that's kind of the deal. So the idea of having these games that are services or like a game in itself being a hobby, like all this multiplayer stuff, just tons and tons of content to unlock, progression trees, all that kind of stuff comes about in a big part because they just need to make the games last longer. And then once you start thinking about that, it's the cost of making all that content is just through the roof, the cost of making even just a skin for a character model, you know, at the fidelity that they do for something like Battlefront 2 it's just off the hook. And the amount of people that they have to like involve in the decision making process and all this kind of stuff when you're working with a licensor like Disney, I can only like it staggers me. You know, I could probably make a game for the amount of money it would cost them to make like one set of skin packs for all the player characters or something.
So then the counter argument to that would be why has it got to a point where it's costing this much to make a game? I mean, we know that games can be made. The budgets aren't, you know, equal across the board or anything. Why are we in a situation where the budgets are so high that they can't be covered by the initial cost?
And also, why are not all other companies going out of business as well? Like we're doing this, if it's impossible to make a game on how much they're sort of spending at the moment, how does Nintendo manage and the other companies that are not employing these mechanics?
Well, it's a good point. I mean, Nintendo is just this weird special case. From what I know, the Japanese work ethic is pretty intense, and you know, I don't know what they pay their people, but you know, when you're talking about you know, the cost of living somewhere like, is it Sweden that DICE are based? You know, it costs a lot to live there, so you have to pay your people a lot. So
but the cost of living in Japan's really high as well. Like
it's
really expensive.
Yeah, that's true. I think, I don't know, I think there's a lot of people, like right now we're in an experimentation point, right? So you'll get, there's like mid-tier companies, and I don't mean that in like a bad way, but like people like Rebellion, yeah, who are doing like the Sniper Elite series, and they've just like locked into a fan base and a topic and like a style of game, and they know what they're doing, and they can basically ship that, and it's all hunky-dory. But like, you put that next to something like Destiny or Battlefront, and like the quality difference is insane, but it doesn't matter to their fans. You know, like there is a massive jump in quality, and I personally think that more people should be making games at a cheaper price and smaller teams, and be more sort of like, I don't know, take advantage of technology and all that to kind of deliver the content rather than going this whole hog. But for whatever reason, you know, well, Sony and Microsoft, they love these big shiny games, and they'll encourage people to make them because it sells hardware. And sometimes that links up really well and everyone makes loads of money, and sometimes companies, you know, they get bought and then sold, or just go under, as a result.
But isn't this also partly sort of the race to the bottom that there's been with this, like with pricing? Like if you look at like one of the reasons, like with the Switch, like you buy like Nintendo games, they don't go down in price. Like they stay like fairly stable in price, you know, for like most of the time. Whereas Sony, like on Microsoft platforms, they just they cut the prices really quickly on stuff. And also if you look at like stuff like PlayStation Plus, Xbox Live Gold, you know, it kind of devalues like the games to a degree. And people have got used to this idea of things being like, you know, super cheap. What do you think? I mean, has that had an impact on this?
Yeah, I think it has. And it is a really weird thing because, like you say, Nintendo's don't devalue because they don't allow it to devalue, you know, they just don't put it on sale. So that's the platform holder making a decision to say, right, no, the games just aren't going to be on sale. And that's like pretty bold, and they've done really well out of it. Whereas, yeah, I think Sony and Microsoft's sort of subscription service stuff has been in a reaction to, the race to the bottom and this sort of, you know, free to play games. And I don't necessarily think it was the best idea because you're trying to marry games that don't necessarily suit being free. You know, they are just like single player games or games you would just spend 20 quid on and have a couple of weeks of fun with, and that's that. But they're just giving them away for free, and then that sort of devalues all the other games that are in that space. Whereas free to play games, they're very, very different. Like ones that are built that way and designed that way from the ground up, they're a very, very different, beast. And on mobile and in your pocket and stuff, you know, just the idea that, let's go back to Animal Crossing, you some people would want just Animal Crossing on their mobile phone, and I would love that as well, but most people who game on their mobile phones, like, as you take it as a market, they don't want that. They're just sort of, you know, they want something you can dip in and out of, and then if it gets their hooks in, then they'll play it for months and months and months. And I think that's why so going back to the point of like these kind of this ill fit between the model and the game, you've got these £50 games with microtransactions, and just fundamentally that seems weird to me. Like, it's clearly like the wrong way round. You know, the reason we're working on a free to play game, right? So I'm quite biased, in this whole thing, but like the reason we're making it free to play is to get as many people in the game as possible because it's an MMO, right? So that's a sensible, logical step, right? Because it just means more people will give it a chance. And then what that does mean is that, well, how do we make money? So, subscriptions are basically just like, ancient. Nobody does that anymore. So microtransactions, tying it into some sort of progression, but trying to make it so it's not bad. It's not like, we're not preying on people. We're just trying to find a way of making money.
I think it's also really important to distinguish the difference between like microtransactions and loot crates, because there is a difference here. Like with the whole point of loot crates is that, they want you to buy as many as possible for the chance that you're going to like get something out of it. Whereas microtransactions can work differently, whereby you know what you're buying and you know what you're going to get. And, I think, there's a big difference there.
Also with loot crates, they're not necessarily something you have to buy. The tons of games, Destiny and other have loot crate type, boxes within them. That it's not a case of you have to buy them, but they elongate gameplay. So there's definitely a distinction, I think, between them.
But the problem, that is true. But then, you see, the problem that I have with the loot crate side of this is that if games are going to be designed so that they are encouraging you to have to use those to unlock stuff so that you can actually play the game that you paid for, that's where I still have a problem with this. Is if it changes game design is the thing that concerns me. In the same way that, if you think about like the arcade games of like the 80s and like early 90s, they were designed in a way so that you keep putting money in. Like that's how they were designed. And then game design sort of moved away from that as the consoles became stronger. And I don't know, I just prefer the way it was, with the way that consoles work rather than the arcade sort of model.
You touched on it a bit, Andy, but the fact that the second-hand market is obviously having an effect, is the answer what Microsoft suggested, like initially with the Xbox One? Would that sort of dull these microtransactions and loot boxes? Would that change things at this point?
It might be a bit late. I don't know. I'd like to think maybe it would. Because the way it works basically, and I only found this out like 2 or 3 years ago because retail's on its last legs, isn't it? But like a lot of distribution deals, it will literally be that a publisher will order and print a run of games, and then the retailer will buy it with a clause saying, because, there's only like one in the high street in the UK that just says, if you want your game on our shelves, then if we have surplus in 3 or 4 weeks, then you have to buy it back at cost. And so if you, like, just fundamentally, like, that's such a broken relationship, right? You can see that as soon as you introduce like high priced, trade-ins and stuff to that, then it's, of course, they're going to have surplus, and of course you're going to lose money on sales. And it's weird because like it all comes back to these like weird little quirks and sort of like situations, I guess, of the reality of selling games to retail that you just wouldn't think existed. I don't know if that happens in other industries. I know magazines, they just get pulped, right? With games, they just literally, a lot of the time, they have to just buy the stock back, and so you're just instantly at a loss.
That's crazy, because I wouldn't imagine that high street retailers would have that much of that much power these days.
Well, it's funny because you mentioned the Xbox. The reason, one of the reasons that sort of spread around of why they maybe backed away is because, well, how are they going to sell their hardware without high street stores? And if you're cutting the high street store out of the money of software sales, they'll be like, please don't. If you do, we'll not sell.
Also, what's very interesting is that I only know through my line of work is that the high street is coming back quite a bit. I don't know if you've been. I know this is definitely anecdotal, but if you've been out Christmas shopping this year, compared to the past, I'd say 5 or 6 years, the high streets are absolutely rammed with what they were, especially like last year. Last year, I remember it being just like dead around Christmas, being able to walk in and out of shops. But people are out there spending money again, and that's going to change the relationship between high street retailers and publishers and everything. It's going to be an interesting future. I don't think it's ever going to be back to where it was, before Amazon sort of took over everything. But you look, it is having a bit of a bounce back. I think the future is interesting. But as I say, even if we did get into a situation where second-hand game sales were cut out completely, I think that microtransactions will be here to stay regardless.
Yeah,
I don't think that's going to make much of a difference.
I mean, the last thing I want to say on it really is like what we're seeing right now is like bad. You know, it is bad microtransaction design, and that's entirely the same. If you try and divorce the game design from the monetization, you can't, right? So previously, a game would cost 40 quid. They try and make it as good as possible. It might get good or bad reviews, and you'd buy it, and maybe you'd return it, maybe you wouldn't. But you could still have a bad game, right? The fact that you have to pay 40 quid up front, means that consumers would have to do their research. So you'd think that would prevent people from shipping bad games. That seems logical, but of course not. Yeah. And so similarly, what you're saying now is just, bad game design, bad transactions, microtransaction game design, and that will get rooted out by this kind of, activity for either players or just by the market, so, it's a shame it's happening, but yeah, I think it'll go away.
Do you think the gambling side of things will be outlawed?
It will get regulated, almost certainly.
Yeah.
It will take a long time just because are we in Europe? I can't remember. It will get regulated, and it probably should. The gambling side of it. But it's going to be really interesting finding out, where that line is to be drawn. That's what
I'm saying to James. With regulations and laws like that, it's got to be so black and white, and it's such a grey area at the moment.
Yeah.
I agree. It's really hard and every time you do introduce a new law, like, for example, what we were saying about, well, if you're getting something back, then technically it's not gambling. How does that stop, how does that stop, like, people saying, okay, here's this thing worth a penny. You've spent £5, here's this thing worth a penny, so to get around the regulations and stuff. It's a hard one to nail down, I think.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for them to regulate the 10-penny drop machines. They're a rip-off.
Yeah, they are. They take the piss. Did you know the trick about those things?
No.
There's a sheet of metal underneath all the coins that actively push all the coins in the machine off to the sides and into a little separate tray. Now, I'd heard that there was a little separate tray in it anyway, but I didn't know that there was a bit of metal underneath all the coins just pushing them off to one side to make sure that they don't get pushed down the middle. Absolute scumbags. Don't get Matt started on crane machines. Do not get him started on the crane machines.
Going back to the other stuff, what's really interesting about this, though, is the way that EA is carrying the can for all of this now. Whatever they release now, if it's got loot crates or anything in it, people just automatically go crazy. Whatever.
Well, they took the piss, didn't they? They took the piss. They got burnt, and that's where we're at. Someone had to take the piss, and it might as well have been EA. Right. Okay, cool. Next story.
Okay, so the last news story we've got, I think Matt can talk about it because he's more interested. This is the Games Media Awards are back. So Matt, go on. Do the whole thing.
Games Media Awards are back. Obviously, blah, 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 they're back. And really, we don't really care about best podcast category.
Well, here's the thing. What's the name of the new Games Media Awards?
It's now called the Games Media Brit list, and it's back in May 2018. It says it's a new awards event's been launched. It's basically like a rebrand of what was known as the GMA, the Games Media Awards previously, and it's open to anyone who works in games or esports, and there's various awards like Best Critic, Best Reporter, Best Video Presenter, Streamer, James Farley, obviously, online teams, etc., etc.
All I'll say is this, right? If anyone from the new GMAs, I should remember their name, the Games Brit list or whatever it's called.
Games Media Brit list, come on.
That's the one. If anyone from there is listening, for years, we were embarrassingly snubbed by the GMEs. Everyone was like, well, where's Dave? Where's Dave? Oh, no, they weren't nominated. What? What are you talking about? I'd heard all the rumours and, certain people didn't like us there, whatever. This is your chance to make amends, right? Straight out the gate, best podcast, TCGS. Everyone knows that we should be it anyway, so you might as well just skip the formalities. Just send me an email, say, Dave, we know what's happening. Don't worry about it. Don't worry, we got your back. And then you'll get the credibility that you're hoping for. If you want it to be credible, It's an easy win. Just give us a prize, and then we can all move on with our lives. Agreed?
Yeah, that's basically how it needs to go down. I mean, I'm going to book holiday tomorrow at work for the day after. Well, I might as well book the whole week off, just give a big one. We might as well get suits made, Dave. I'm going to do everything I can in my power to
Matt,
get us
if
nominated.
you get invited to an awards ceremony, mate, the people that make suits get in contact with you and give you a free one. There's no way I'm doing it at this point. I'm going to wait until it's official and then just ring up, who's it? Sergio Giorgini.
You can still find me.
Make me a free one, and they'll be all over it, mate.
I don't want to go to something like this. It's just...
Oh, you ain't invite? Fine. Brilliant. We'd only get 2 tickets anyway. No one wants you there, and you don't want to be there. It's the perfect scenario. Matt and I will go. Loving it. Yeah. I'm sure we can get you in, Andy. Don't worry.
That's going to be big. It's going to be huge.
Is there an award for the main one, or is it just... Is it a team thing, or does just the main one get it?
No. Well, I get to keep the award, clearly.
Have you still got that Twitter award? Who's got that currently?
I'll tell you what, if it's anything related to streaming, you are not getting that award, David.
No. If it's related to streaming, right? If we get the award for streaming and Twitter,
stream, that'd be amazing.
Then Matt can have it. If it's the podcast, piss off. That is going on my shelf. Standard. Also, you've missed out a news story. What about this whole Daily Mail kicking off about David Cage?
Yeah, I didn't put that in because I don't want to get into this again.
Alright, we'll move on. Basically, Daily Mail read all of the Twitter rants about David Cage, made an article out of it, and those people that tweeted it are now getting angry at the Daily Mail and saying it's a scum. It's hilarious. What a turn of events.
It's one of those, won't somebody think of the children article type things. It's, because only kids play games, but yeah.
Right, okay. Should we get on to what we've been playing?
Yep.
Yeah.
Good, Matt. Let's start with you this week, mate. What you got on your list?
I haven't been. I've just been tidying up my list and trying to get through games. I finished Wolfenstein in just about 10 minutes before we started recording.
You finished it, really? How long was it?
Well, I had it on the easiest, and I think I did it in 12 hours.
Oh, right. So it's quite long. So I've been playing it this week. I've just got to I don't know what, the breastfeeding scene is probably the best way to do it. Where your new friends come onto the ship.
Yep.
Is that right near the start?
Yeah, it's quite. It's not that far.
Yeah, it's halfway.
Halfway?
No way. It's not about a quarter or at least a third at most.
Yeah, I don't think it's that far in, but I've been playing it so sporadically that I haven't really kept up with how long I've been playing it. I before you get to you, Matt, the combat is really dragging me down.
Yeah,
I'm getting to the point where I'm thinking, I just want to. I'm tempted to take this back, and then there's a cutscene, and I'm like, I am all in again. This is brilliant. The whole bit that I've just done, I hated, and then the cutscene happened. And a little bit of story stuff, and I'm like, oh my god, this is just so good. Why? I just wish the combat was better. And what makes it worse is that I'm playing it at the same time as Destiny 2, and the combat on that is just incredible. I don't care what anyone says. I love the shooting in that. In this, it's just not got the same. I'm just running around, just not enjoying it. And all right, I've put it on the easiest setting, and some people say, well, if it was any more challenging, I would have definitely taken it back by now.
Oh, yeah,
and I'm not dying loads, but I'm just like...
I got so annoyed with the shooting that towards the end, I was just meleeing everyone.
Oh, I'm doing that at the moment, yeah. That's mainly what I'm doing.
I was just basically, throwing axes and just doing that, because it's just quicker and easier. And if I had to, I was firing guns, but... For
me, it just feels like there's too many enemies. There's just too many of them, and
it's not that. It's just that the combat isn't really satisfying, and
it's also because the enemy design isn't that great either. I don't think it's not.
No. I mean, they're all pretty idle, aren't they?
Yeah, it's pretty 2-dimensional as well. But
also, you get no feedback. After playing Call of Duty and obviously Destiny and stuff, you get no feedback when the bullets are hit.
Yeah, it's hard to know where you're getting shot from.
Yeah, it's not where you're getting shot from, but when you're connecting with your bullets. It's more of a visual. It feels a bit like Killzone, because with Killzone you didn't have that sort of sound that you get with Call of Duty, or you don't really know when you're making connections and when someone's dead. and it feels really unsatisfying when that happens, because you're so used to having these little just audio cues that you're doing something correctly, that when they're not there, you're kind of like, well, is he dead or not? What am I doing? Oh. And you're thinking about stuff you really shouldn't be thinking about in that situation. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to be too negative on it because everything else it does so well. It just, can't get on with combat. So what did you make of it by the end of it then, Matt?
I thought it was fantastic. Yeah. I mean, but even if you forget the shooting, which is just not fun. I think the story wise and characters, they're all great. It's so well written. I was looking forward to every cutscene. And I thought it was fantastic because of that, really. I mean, it's easily the best shooter story I played in a long time. It's just, and also what's really good, the levels, or at least the spaces in between the cutscenes felt really quick. So, it wasn't like, okay, I've got a good 45 minutes of shooting, then a cutscene. It felt like you could quickly get through bits in 15, 20 minutes before there's another cutscene, another level. I really liked the pace of it. So even if shooting bits weren't great, it wasn't like, oh god, it's going to be an hour of this. I knew it'd be 15, 20 minutes or so and I'll be done on to the next thing.
Yeah, Matt, didn't you think, the ending, right at the end, isn't it one of the most satisfying endings ever?
Oh, it's absolutely brilliant,
yeah.
I finished it, but I presume I can go back and mop up things, can't I? It would
well, there's a whole bunch of other missions and stuff to do as well.
I'm not sure if I've got time to go and do the other stuff, but I've seen the credits, it's brilliant. Have you gone back then, James, to do other bits or not?
I've done a couple of things. I mean, there's missions with the KKK and all this kind of stuff.
I've got loads on the map. I just haven't really bothered. I wonder if there's a different ending if you get to all the missions potentially, but I'm not sure if I'm going to find the time, to go back and do that. But regardless, I thought it was absolutely brilliant. And I'm definitely interested. Maybe if there is a drought or quiet time at some point, maybe early next year, definitely interested to get the one before this. Was it New Blood? Was that the one?
Yeah, there's first of all there's the New Order, and then there's the Old Blood, which is
the Old Blood was the budget one, wasn't it?
Originally, it was going to be just DLC for the New Order, and then they just fleshed it out into a full game. But it's not really.
How does the New Order compare to this in all ways, like story and characters and shooting? Is it?
I don't think it's as good.
Okay.
Really? I don't know.
No.
I think by the end, I preferred this one in terms of story. But I thought that, but there was more interesting sort of things that you actually do. I thought in New Order.
But is the shooting exactly the same in the previous ones?
It is, but there's other elements to the game which make it a bit more interesting. I think.
Okay.
What, for example, what?
Yeah, doing stuff like cutting the fences and stuff like that, and sort of sneaking into places is done a bit better. I think.
Okay.
What in the older game?
Yeah, in the older one. Yeah.
I just I got tired of all the stuff in between. The shooting is nowhere near as good as it is in this. In this, it's genuinely entertaining. There's lots to see, lots to do. Mm-hmm. On the last one, there was weird puzzle bits and fetch quests inside the hub area, and I was kind of like, "Oh, mate, why am I doing this? I don't need this in a game like this. I want to just get to the next bit." Mm-hmm. So I fell off of it. I dropped off of it pretty hard, actually. But have you played this, Andrew?
I'm actually, I'm playing through the New Order at the minute, just because you guys have been going on about them so much. And I think, James, you said, you should definitely play the first one. So, I saw, obviously it got a price drop, didn't it? The second one.
Yeah.
Which was crazy. So that and Old Blood and New Order were 30 quid altogether on Steam or something. So I was like,
Jesus.
okie dokie. I'm about 2/3, 3/4 of the way through the first one. So have they dropped the stealthy stuff as much? The sneaking?
I think you can still do that if you want to, but then, because, a lot of people just bump it down to easy, because the combat's not a lot of fun. And so, there's not really any need to do stealth stuff, because you could just go in and, mow people down, really.
Yeah, I did, try and, where possible, I try to sneak around, but as soon as I got seen, it was just, shooting everyone's heads off, really.
Yeah, these sort of first-person stealthy bit, games, they're not terribly great in letting you know where enemies are and if they can see you or not.
No.
You know what I mean? I found myself sort of trying to be stealthy for a bit, and then it's like all of a sudden someone sees you from a completely different area, and that's it. Everyone's alerted to where you are, and all of a sudden you're getting absolutely smashed by people, and it's really unsatisfying for me.
But yeah, also
I've resulted in just like running straight, as like trying to find the general as quick as I can with my guns blazing, you know.
Yeah, I mean, other things people mention which aren't great is like the mission objective marker on the map. It's really hard to find out where that is. I was constantly going in and out of the map.
That is something that is absolutely worse than in the first game. Like I thought the level design was much worse, because there's so many times when I got kind of lost, or not lost. It's like knowing where to go next. It's like, because everything looks often really the same, and then you find it's like a tiny sort of area you've got to sort of try and get into.
I was totally stuck. You know, when you fight that a big guy for the first time, the one where you've got to get from one side of the town to another, and there's like loads of buildings, and you're going in and out of buildings and stuff, and then you fight that big tall robot thing.
Yeah.
After that, the sort of, there was enemies up on this bit, and the marker was up there, and I was like, well, how do I even get up there? And it turns out I had to walk like really far away from the marker and find some small staircase, and then that led me up there, and I was kind of like, oh, fuck this. Why
the trouble is like, it's even more difficult if you're like under like fire constantly as well. And you're like trying to figure out like where to go, but you just can't. That is irritating.
Yeah, and like in like the hub area towards the end, like where it said I had to go find certain people, certain areas, and I was like, I don't know where these rooms are, or these people are.
And that is also not amazingly designed either.
And like the map might mark loads of different areas, but not like the one room or area I had to go to. And I was like, I don't know what this person looks like. So some bits towards the end, I was just literally running around this area for ages. Like, are you? No, you're not.
The hub world was much better in the previous game. Like it was much clearer, because it was like a house. Well, not a house, but it was like a sort of underground sort of place, and it was really clear, like, because it was just on different floors. Whereas the submarine is like ridiculous. It's huge.
But this game,
Matt, who did you choose at the start? Did you choose to kill the young guy or the old guy?
I chose to save the Scottish guy.
Right, okay, yeah, cool. So you've had all the arm jokes are fucking brilliant.
But I knew nothing about either of those, because I hadn't played the previous one, so literally just left or right, and I chose that one. Did you choose the same one?
Yeah, okay. I mean, I chose the same one in the first game as well. So,
okay, right.
And I'm glad I did, because he's been the centre of so many funny moments in that game.
Great, yeah.
I can't imagine it without him. But I hear either way that you pick is pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah, how about you, James?
I chose the other guy, actually. And,
really? So do you not get any of the arm gags?
No, I have no idea what you're talking about. So,
oh my god, they're so funny. Honestly, and it's cheap, like obvious humour, but it makes me laugh every time.
Yeah, it's really
basically
good.
He's got an android arm that he's got no control over, which does hilarious things throughout. And there's even times where you're like, is that really the arm man functioning, or you take it, or you just blaming it on that? Like it's full of like really funny moments.
Yeah, but I will say the cutscenes not only like were written or acted, but just like I love the way they're shot. Like this game just looks so stylish. It's got a great element. It uses music really, really well. Some really class moments with brilliant music, and I think it's an absolutely excellent game. I've absolutely loved it.
I'm definitely going to play through it. It's had enough about it for me to go, you know what, just battle through the combat and then get onto the cutscenes, because I'm enjoying them.
Yeah.
Which is quite sad, really. I mean, it's a computer game. You want the best bit about it is the playing it, but for me, it's the experience of seeing what he's got to say and what he's doing.
That's me with any JRPG. That's how I always feel whenever I play one of those. It's like, I want a story. I want to play the story, but I don't want to play any of these mechanics because I hate them. And it's same kind of thing.
Have you not been tempted with Xenoblade Chronicles 2, James?
Not massively, although I have requested it for Christmas, so I don't know.
Requested it?
Yeah.
Santa, I doffed request one video game.
It's on the list that I sent, so maybe I'll get it. I don't know. It was either that.
You've been a good boy, James.
There was the PlayStation VR thing. No, definitely not. But yeah, I've gone for that instead.
The PlayStation VR thing.
Yeah. You've got to explain that, James.
Well, no, it's because, see, weirdly, suddenly my wife this week said because I got a notification on my phone saying that, like, from Amazon saying, you've just bought a PlayStation VR, like, but in French. And I was like, no, I haven't.
You just bought the PlayStation VR.
So then I checked back and it turned out it was my wife trying to do something nice, it seems. But I'm very suspicious because this was something that I'd mentioned, like, you know, a couple of times before. I didn't think she'd remember this. And also, it's it's still expensive, and I'm just thinking, why is this okay now when it wouldn't normally
hold on.
be?
So has this story evolved from when we last spoke? Because when we last spoke, you were thinking about buying it, and then you didn't, and look, and then she's just ordered it anyway for you.
No, this was before. No, she ordered it, and then we cancelled it. Then ordered it again,
right.
and then cancelled it.
Yeah.
And then, so now it's not happening. And
James, she's definitely going to drop a bombshell on you.
That's what I'm worried
time.
about. It's because it's just a bit odd, you know, because she's not normally this generous. I'll be honest, and so it's a bit odd.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So, Matt, you do everything Giant Bomb tells you to do. So, I assume you've been playing Trivia HQ this week.
I played a couple. I played a few. Yeah, I had it downloaded. I had it downloaded for ages. Well, not ages, but I had downloaded when it came out, and I just didn't bother. But after the last couple of weeks of that, and they sounded good, so I gave it a go.
Go on. What's it like?
It's fine. So Trivia HQ is an app. It's definitely on iOS. Maybe it's on Android. I'm not sure, but definitely on iOS. And it's basically you can't do anything until the live shows start, and they start at 8 p.m. UK time, and I think 2 or 3 a.m. UK time. You get a notification when this starts, and then basically you have a live video of his presenter. It can be this guy called Scott. It can be this other woman. I'm not sure her name. And they basically introduce this live quiz show, of which there are 12 questions. They read out a question. You have 12 seconds to answer the question. If you don't answer or you get the incorrect answer, you're out. And if you get to the end, then you get to share a prize of £1,000. I think it's $1,000. But when the game starts, you can see that, I mean, the games I played, there's like 180,000, 200,000 people. And when every question is answered, you see who got it right and who got it right, as in like the numbers of who got it right and wrong. So you might suddenly lose like 50,000 people because they chose the wrong answer. There's also live chat in the app. And stuff. I mean, it's a fun little experiment. I think I played it 2 or 3 times, and the most I've got is 6 out of 12 questions. But it's a fun little thing because you don't really get a chance for these sort of shared experiences on iOS games, anymore. And although I didn't play much of it, I did play a bit of 1 versus 100 on the 360. And this definitely seems to capture a lot of those sort of feelings. Just because it feels very much like a shared experience, and the fact it's only on twice a day. I mean, typically I've only played the 8 o'clock one because I'm not up for the 2 or 3 a.m. show. But it's pretty cool just to see how it works, and you know, it worked. Technically, it worked really well. There wasn't any lag. It didn't flake out. Considering there's maybe 200,000 people watching and playing this game, it worked really well, and it looks like it's like a well designed app. It looks nice as well.
I know what you're saying. The shared experience stuff, I think there's more to it. Like there's something there for console gaming where everyone logs in at the same time and has this shared experience. Yeah. And I do think with the success of this, because this is wildly successful in America, like it's been everywhere, and everyone's playing it. I think someone's going to chance their arm and try and do something like this on home consoles. Whether it's I think it's probably going to be one of the main publishers themselves. You know, it's even Microsoft, probably not Nintendo, Microsoft or Sony.
Yeah, I mean,
try and jump on this bandwagon.
I guess Microsoft whatever 1 versus 100 did, it didn't do enough for them to warrant continue it or do more of that stuff. But it seemed so cool, you know, at the time, logging in, and obviously famously Michael Fox. Did he win or did he get how?
Yeah, he won. He won
something. Yeah, he did win, definitely.
Yeah, he won something, but it was just great, you know, everyone logged on at the same time, and then, you know, seeing who's in and out, and this captures that, and it's fun. So I guess none of you guys have tried this yet, right?
No.
You should give it
I'm no good at trivia. I mean, I'm awful at trivia.
Yeah, I there's only one a day, and because it's only like last 5 minutes, it's fun to do, but. You know, and the fact you can't play this all day every day, but for the one time a day, 8 o'clock little quiz, it's a fun little thing to do for a few minutes.
Wouldn't it be wicked if Microsoft? Right, okay, here's an idea. Working for Microsoft, you're saying, right, everyone downloads like a patch every week with all the game data on it, and it's the same sort of thing where you all play at the same time, but there's a challenge in different games spread over a bunch of games. You've got to do something in so many seconds, and if you fail to do it, you drop out, and then it's like the ultimate gamer at the end wins the prize.
Like
and then
WarioWare.
you know, incorporate what's that?
like WarioWare or something.
WarioWare, but with other games. Like, score a goal in FIFA as quick as you can. Come on. Wow, you missed. Out. I'd love that. That'd be class. Someone would hack it.
Yeah.
But still,
I'm surprised there's not more of this stuff, but that's good. I've also been still playing Mario, still trying to get towards 500.
I see Mario written down here. Is that all you've played before we get onto the Mario stuff? Is that all you played?
I played a bit of Forza. A listener and someone who works at a sister company that I worked for, he tweeted, his name is Rick Brook, he tweeted a couple of weeks ago saying, I played a bit of Forza, it's boring as fuck, I can't be bothered. And I jokingly said, oh, okay, mate, so send it over and I'll gladly have it, kissed sarcastically. And then I got some post on Thursday or Friday and it was a copy of Forza 7 for Xbox.
So in the past week, Matt Murray has received 2 games, one Edith Finch from James,
Thanks,
and
James.
Another from a listener.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had nothing. So if you
weird,
could,
isn't it?
no, that's a lie actually, but I'll get to that later. I have had something. I feel bad now. But no, everyone club together, get me an Xbox One X, make it up to me.
I don't think it's going to happen, so I've only played a very small amount of Forza, but my God, it looks so gorgeous. I know we've sort of spoken about this before, but it just looks absolutely stunning. And I'm playing a little bit of that, but and also, like I say, still slowly getting through Mario just on the trips to and from work.
I'm still playing Mario, still losing all my coins. Harry keeps spending them all. It's ridiculous. I can't buy any of the things I'm saving up for.
Did you ever save up for the £10,000, the 10,000, currency outfit?
Well, I just want the wedding dress because I just think that'd be funny.
Yeah, I've got that
I can't
and the
afford
tiara.
it.
Yeah.
I can't remember how many. I'll load up and see how many moons I've got now. How many are you up to, Matt?
Oh, it's still like 380 something.
Really? Fucking. See, because I'm really interested to hear what Andy has to say about it. Because, I mean, every time I hear you talk about Nintendo, you hit the nail on the head. So, what have you made of Super Mario Odyssey? Are you as blown away by it everyone else is?
Nah, it's no good. It's not as good as Crash Bandicoot, is it? Let's be honest.
Okay,
yeah,
there
true.
we go. Crash Bandicoot, incidentally, available on PlayStation 4 now. Go on.
No, it's amazing, isn't it? It's ridiculous.
How far into it? Have you got the
I've
500?
finished the extra levels, the big challenge one at the end.
Really? You did that?
I was doing that. I did it on the train, and
oh God,
I was getting some really
must have been
dodgy
impossible.
looks. Yeah, I'm not a happy loser. So yeah, that was good times. But I mean, I was talking to someone today actually about it, and it was just so it's like obviously it's really polished and amazing, and jumping feels great and all of this stuff, and like I love the little landing jolt you get when he lands, and it just makes him feel like a fat little plumber jumping.
Yeah,
and it's just all of these amazing things, and then I mean, you guys have covered all the amazing like creatures that you can, take control of and all that kind of stuff. But like until I'd finished the last bit, and I won't spoil anything, but like the whole game, like when I'd finished it and really sat there and sort of thought about what it was, like it occurred to me that the game, I thought it was just a game that was like, oh, Mario's theme this year is holidays or travel. And it was like, oh, that's cool. Yeah, wicked, whatever. And then you kind of get to a point where you're like, hang on, there's all this retro stuff in it. So maybe it's like, nostalgia and like sort of that feeling of a holiday, but in your past, right? It's like taking a trip down memory lane. And then.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
God, there's a line in it right at the end that a character says to you that basically says, it's meant in the context of the game and what you've done, but it's also saying to the gamer, like, thanks. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, thanks for being on this journey with us. Like, oh, Jesus, it really that was the bit I mentioned last week, that it was actually genuinely emotional towards the end, and that was exactly what it was. Like, there was that one line that sums up what you're saying perfectly, and it says, it's not saying, hey, well done on beating the game. It's kind of like, cheers for sticking with us. And it's like a proper punch in the gut. Not punch in the gut, it's like a big warm hug. You know what I mean? It was weird.
And it's the devs, isn't it? And that's the thing, they're speaking directly to you. And that was the bit where I was like, and it sort of clicked with me that not only that, but all the people there working on it are our age, and they've had the same love for Mario, and they went to work at Nintendo because of that. And so, like, it just made me sort of like spiral into this sort of like, happy, warm place about how great Nintendo is and how wonderful Mario is and all that kind of stuff. But it really, like I say, a little bit of a tear in the eye sort of moment. It's magic.
Absolutely. I can't understate that enough. Like that whole bit right at the end, I loved how there was no jolly music. There was no, big explosions and graphics and stuff. It was just one character talking to another, and it was like, oh boy, I'm not going to go. This isn't going to be the first game that makes me cry. It can't be. It can't be. I'm still on the hunt. But, it's really good. Like, when I hear people on various podcasts, and alright, it's their decision and it's what they want to do, and that's totally fine. But when I hear that they, I got to the end of the story bit and sort of, fell away from it, I'm kind of like, mate, you've got to keep playing it because there's so much to it. I mean, I'm still hammering it all the time. I'm up to, I did just check, 636 moons now. Ooh. So I'm, powering towards
just behind you.
Yeah, you've probably caught me up recently because we've had to ban it during the week because Harry is going a little bit too weird with it. A little bit too weird. That nursery thing that I said earlier was not a joke and actually happened, and it's getting a bit awkward now. Literally introduced him, but Joe was at a soft play with him, and some boy come up to him and said, "Oh, my name's Tom. What's your name?" "I'm a Mario." And then Joe wandered over to the parents and went, "Oh yeah, I'm sorry, he's being a bit weird at the moment." But yeah, I mean, I love it. I think it's great. I love the fact that he's into that shit. Right, okay, so James, that was all you had on your list, wasn't it?
Yeah, all I've got is Mario, because I mean, I've only played that this week, and I've got about, I think, 610 or so far, like, moons, so I'm a bit further in, but I'm still really liking it. It's just, there's just one thing about the game that I don't like, and it's just a personal preference that
What's that? Go on.
I hate the races. I really hate the races.
Really? Why?
Yeah. Well, no, the initial ones are fine, but the master ones, they start to get really irritating because
there's always a trick to them, though,
yeah,
James.
I know, but that's what's annoying because I hate, like, some of the tricks are really irritating to pull off, and I just don't like them. So there's that.
I think you'll get there because I found that the classic one, long jump, throw your hat, dive onto the hat, jump in, throw your hat again. I found that impossible. And I thought that's beyond my skill level. But it's actually just a really easy set of button combinations that you've just got to remember. If you break it down to button combinations, it's actually pretty, it guides you. It's not, you don't have to be 100% accurate. Mm-hmm. You've just got to get the combinations right. And then it works. It's really good.
So I've got, you see, because I've been going through it differently to you, because I've been doing it sort of just nailing every world and then moving on to the next one. So I'm up to the Lake Kingdom now, and I've done all the ones from the Metro Kingdom and all that sort of stuff. And it's just the only thing, as I said, that I've not enjoyed has been the races, but also at the moment the volleyball, because that's really, really pissing me off every time I do that, because it's fine the first time around, but then the requirement for the second moon is very high, and it's really irritating me. But apart from that, amazing. It's still fantastic.
Cool. Right, so I've gone back to a game, Destiny 2, because all of my friends abandoned me on the PS4 version. I had to... so I found myself with 2 copies of the PS4 version. I had the digital copy, and then I got a free disc version with my PS4 Pro, which I fully intended to sell on. And recycle that money into something else, and it turns out that no one wants to buy Destiny 2, so I really failed to sell it. I suppose it's one of those games that you're either in or you're not, and if you're in, you're buying it day one, because even now, you're seeing it's selling for around 20-25 quid in most places, and second hand, the discs are going for 15 quid already. So I just put up just a random tweet on Twitter.com saying, look, would anyone want to trade a PS4 version for an Xbox One version? Because I've got a lot of friends that play on Xbox One, so I could do that. And then Don Pepin on Twitter got in touch and said, I've just got a code at home that you can have, don't worry about swapping. So big shout out to Don Pepin, really appreciate that, man. It's properly sorted me out. So I'm currently going through the campaign again, and I'm still properly in love. I love it. It's a bit annoying because I've got it in 4K on my PS4 Pro, and it was part of the reason why I bought that PS4 Pro, because it was supposed to be me, Matt, John, James, everyone playing Destiny, and then you all just stop playing it, and it was just me loading it up every night, playing it on my own.
That's nonsense, but go on.
Go on. No, go on, James. Were you playing it with me then?
I was totally... Okay, we played it once, and then you and Matt, never bothered again. And I was totally up for playing more of it, and I still want to play more of it.
When you first started playing it, I was level 260, right? Yeah. And I'm close to 300. I've still got that character close to 300. If you can get your character to a level where we can play together, then I am totally up for playing with you, James.
That's the problem with this. That's probably not going to happen, is it? Because I think I was only at 240 or something.
Yeah, so you would have, an extra 10 more hours of gameplay and you would have been with us.
I know, but you see, but then I had to play, David Cage's Opus, didn't I? That destroyed most of my time.
Oh, come on, mate. You cannot say that I stopped playing it, because I was playing it so much on my own.
You might have been, but we can still level that at Matt. He was the one that was so, excited about
Matt
this game.
dropped it. He was unbelievable with it. Oh, yeah, let's all play Destiny. I'm not playing it now. What happened to you, Matt?
Well, I just found like I was up playing on my own, and...
No, you weren't, Matt. I was there every night playing Destiny.
Yeah, and it was fun, but then other things happened. I remember I got to like 280, but it wasn't high enough for Nightfall, and then other games came out.
Well, Stardew Valley, wasn't it?
Oh, exactly. It's a great game.
Yeah.
Anyway, my PS4 character is still there, and I'm still up for playing it. I've got all the the expansion pass for it and everything. So if any of you want to go back to it on PS4, then I will play with you, definitely.
Yeah,
but right now I'm working on getting my Xbox One character up. I'm playing through the campaign. There's so much stuff in that game that I missed the first time through the campaign, because you don't really touch on the story stuff, nowhere near as much as you did in the first game. And it's still brilliant. I'm loving the combat again. I'm loving the weapons. I'm loving even visually. I was saying that I've got it on 4K on PS4, and I'm going back to standard on Xbox One. It still looks incredible. I thought I was going to be turning my nose up at it. I just can't. It still looks fantastic. So I'm going to be working on that over the next couple of weeks, try and get up to a level, because the first expansion pass drops tomorrow, I think. Is that right? So yeah, I need to prepare to get ready for that and join my mates, and I'll catch up in no time. You know what that game's like. Soon enough, it'll start pushing you forward and leveling you up faster, because it knows that it wants to get as many people to the end game as possible. So I just want to get the campaign out of the way, and then I can just start slowly grinding away at my levels and get to where I was on the PS4 version and see where we are from there. Yeah. If I've got, how some people have 2 or 3 characters.
Yeah.
You had 3 characters set up, didn't you, Matt?
Yeah, I've got 3 characters on PS4, yeah.
Right, so I'm going to do the same, but I'm going to have one on PS4 and one on Xbox One. That way, if a group of friends wants to play, whether they're playing on PS4 or Xbox One, I can join them. That's the plan. I don't have to stick to one format. So, I'm all over that. All over it.
Yeah, I would like to get back to it, but I want to get Life is Strange and Edith Finch, and maybe whatever else I need to get done before the Game of the Year stuff.
Yeah, you've got to get through that in the next couple of weeks for sure. So, you got an excuse now. The other game I've been playing this week, it come out on Xbox One. It's kind of an old game, 2 or 3 years old. Assault Android Cactus. Has anyone played this?
No, I remember you mentioning it ages ago, but...
Yeah, it was an indie darling at the time. We played it at Sean's wedding, funny enough. When we all woke up with a hangover, Sean was set up his PC in one of the rooms, and we were just sitting down playing a bunch of games. And he said, try this. I know you're a fan of twin-stick shooters. And I tried it and I absolutely adored it. I thought it was really interesting. It did stuff that I'd never seen in twin-stick shooting before. That it's finally out for the Xbox One. In some ways, it's still as unique and excellent to play as I remembered a few years ago. In other ways, it hasn't aged too well. Mainly in the art style. Now, this is Xbox One X enhanced, so it has got 4K and stuff like that. But it's the fundamental art style. If you remember about 2 or 3 years ago, and it sounds like I'm talking about this like it's a retro game, but it's not. But I think games like this have evolved so much in the past couple of years, especially visually. If you see a twin stick shooter now, it always looks incredible. Next Machina looks absolutely insane. With this, it had that sort of its time cartoony big head, very wide-eyed look to everything. And then sort of your classic half cell shaded robotic enemies. That's all there, and that was fine back then. But because so much has happened in the past couple of years with arcade games and with indie games and how everything looks, it doesn't really hold up anymore. It looks very, very basic for what it is. And, you know, it's not the end of the world. I mean, the visuals aren't everything about the game. It's still incredibly fun to play. It still does some really interesting things. So, the kill areas, the actual levels are very, very simple, but they evolve. So there's cover can pop out of nowhere, things can rotate, and you can constantly manipulate the enemies. So you can group them together and push them towards you, and make them come towards you, and then funnel them down a certain path and play around with them that way. But then there's also this other mechanic where it's not as brutal as usual twin stick shooters. If you get hit, it's not like you're dead and then you have to start again. On this, it kind of just slows you down. And the whole idea is that you have to constantly kill enemies, and then one of them will drop a battery, and then you can pick it up just before your battery runs out. So it's all about jockeying your charge on your Android. And that's interesting. I don't think it's quite as fun as the traditional method, because there are moments where you'll pick up a battery and you'll go, well, there's no way I'm going to make it to the next one. So you kind of think like, I've fucked this run already. Whereas when you're playing the old style, where if you get hit, you die, you always feel that you're able to battle out of the situation, and survive. And if you get hit, you're instantly dead, and that's the end of your run. This one, you see it coming a little bit more, which is shit in one regard, but when you do pick up a battery just in time, the satisfaction is like heightened. You know, if you get out of a situation next machina, it's good, but it's not as good as just grabbing that last battery just as you're about to shut down. But on the flip side, it's got a lot more stuff to do in it than that game has. It's got like an infinite mode, as you'd expect, but it's also got a campaign where you unlock various different characters in it. And it's got the co-op's really good. So yeah, it's weird. If you were to come to me and say, I want to play a twin stick shooter, I would say, have you played Nex Machina? Yes. Have you played Geometry Wars? Yes. Well, then definitely try this. But not if you haven't played those two games, because Geometry Wars is now backwards compatible on Xbox One, and that's a better twin stick shooter. And Nex Machina is one of the best twin stick shooters I've ever played. So you're instantly going, well, where does this sit? And this sits for fans of that genre. It doesn't sit at the top of the pile for me. Still good, but not perfect. And it does this weird thing where you have to pull the trigger to fire, and I don't mean you have to pump it for every shot. You just hold it down. And I thought, is there an option to just make it auto fire like every other twin stick shooter? And there isn't. And I'm kind of like, why?
So you basically got your finger held down the whole time.
Yeah, and you'd expect there to be a sort of mechanic where you've got ammo or something, and you've got to conserve ammo or something. But that's not the case. So I'm either missing something big, or it's just completely weird. I don't know. Let me know in the chat on Twitter. Yeah, it's a good game. It's out on Xbox One. If you're into twin stick shooters, you can't go wrong with this. You'll enjoy it. I just think there's better ones out there. Definitely.
Cool.
Andrew, what have you been playing?
I've got a weird, sort of slightly mixed bag. I want to start with one that otherwise I would forget. And it's called Wappo. I came about it through a bit of an odd sort of sequence of events. Basically, have you guys heard of Steam Spy?
No.
No. So it's steamspy.com. You go there and it basically aggregates all this data that's like publicly available from Steam. And as a dev, it's very interesting looking at trends and sales and players and all this kind of thing. And then, another dev wrote an article about like trying to figure out, based on what information is out there, what's the best rated game that the fewest people have played? Because it's this whole issue of like, there's just so many games and not enough time, and no one's finding these games because Steam's completely swamped. And this game Wappo came out basically at the top, so it's like hardly been played by anyone, but it's actually a really, really strong game. And there's a demo for free, so I played it, and it's this charming like weird, really unique, colourful platformer. It's 2D side on, and you're this little thing called a WUM or something, and you're in a hotel or an apartment block. And you have to, like, it's a platformer, but with like little sort of story RPG quests kind of stuff. And you kind of upgrade your skills and your abilities as you complete these. And, it's just like got this really funny kind of odd world view. Your first task is to go downstairs. You're hungry, so you go down, you don't have a phone because it's broken or something. You have to go down to the what's the name of the guy who works at the front desk? In an apartment
concierge?
block.
Oh,
concierge, that's the one. So you talk to this concierge and there's obviously history there. It's so well written, honestly. It's really, really funny. Like, he's just like really reluctant to let you have, ice cream. I think it is because you spilt it last time and you basically hints that you just vomited it everywhere. Yeah, I'm not doing a very good job of explaining it, but it's
no, it's good.
The characters are all little blobs, just literally really simple little blobs with like little hairs sticking out and eyes and a mouth. The way that the text appears with like the sound effects that accompany it, the usual sort of babble kind of noise are really, really weird and kind of funny. And you just go off on this kind of grand adventure. It's just, it's really good fun. It's really solid, really polished. And I haven't played beyond the demo, but it's like the next one on my list, basically. It's come out on, Xbox One and PS4 as well recently, like 3 weeks ago. And yeah, I think more people should play it because, it's just been completely lost.
Yeah, I do love the idea of finding games with the highest rating, with at least played. That's great. There's a series in that.
Yeah. There's a whole like podcast or something, or a stream or something. A bit more sort of mainstream. Obviously, Mario kind of covered the fact that that's like a ridiculously amazing game. I've been playing everything on the Switch, basically.
Is this the one where you can zoom in and out of things?
Oh no, sorry.
Oh right, no, you've literally been playing everything.
No. No,
I'm so lost, right? Because there is a game that come out this year called Everything, right?
Yeah, there is, but it's not on the Switch. To do that on the Switch, you just have to move your arms closer to your face, I guess. That's that. No, sorry. I've just been like everything else I've been playing has basically been on the Switch.
Isn't everything else a sequel?
Good one.
There's nowhere to go from that. That's amazing. Battle Chef Brigade on the Switch. It's billed as an action RPG crossed with a match 3 puzzle game. And it's about food, right? So you're a wannabe battle chef. You're living in this fantasy world. Again, it's side on 2D, kind of quite nice, quite restrained anime style art, if that makes sense. It's not completely over the top. And you want to become a battle chef in this fantasy world. And battle chefs essentially go out and they fight monsters and then they cook them. And they cook these amazing meals with the ingredients that come out of the monsters. And it sounds like maybe it's going to be like Monster Hunter kind of scale, but it's very much not. The basic flow is you have to cook a meal. So you have a stove and you have a larder and you run outside of the room that you're cooking in. It's called a kitchen, apparently. You're in a garden or a cave or whatever. And it's like a kind of like a contained area that you just run around and they just spawn enemies and you just beat them up, sort of side scrolling, kind of, jumping and juggling combos and things like that. And a little bit of light magic. It's all very, very sort of, it's not the deepest thing in the world, but it's very satisfying. And then once you kill them, you collect all the bits and bobs and then you fill up your larder and then you use them on the stove, and those become gems that you then have to match on a grid that's kind of, simulating the pot or whatever that you're cooking in. And it's got like a kind of a nice enough story around the edge, some pretty well written characters, some voice acting that's kind of, most of it's decent, but then a couple of them sound like they're just recorded in a toilet somewhere, which is a real shame. Because everything else is like really, really high quality, like production values. It's come out of nowhere as far as I'm aware. I don't know that the studio's done anything else. I think it might be their debut game. But I would put good money on the fact that they're all ex-AAA people. Cause everything's deep enough and fun enough and then it stops. Like it doesn't go on too long. It doesn't outstay its welcome. And I'm probably like 8 or 9 hours in and I would expect there to be another like 2 or 3, perhaps.
With the Matchroom 3 stuff, is it all touchscreen?
No, I don't know. I haven't tried. I would imagine not. It's quite small on the screen.
Right.
You just literally have your grid and you can still see like your character standing behind it. And there's a lot of sort of extraneous menu bits and bobs that you've got to try and keep an eye on.
There are touchscreen only games on the Switch though, right? There are games that can only be played with a touchscreen.
There's one
I'm
called
sure there was, because we were talking about it the other day. We were like,
yeah.
Because I just kind of think, would you play that still with the Joy-Cons attached, or would you hold it without the Joy-Con? That would be weird, wouldn't it? Be like using a Nokia 3210 without the faceplate on. Just feeling that bit of metal in your palm, like the little railings in your palms like that, make me feel ill.
That would be weird.
Yeah, I want to see more games as well that just have one Joy-Con plugged in and you hold it sideways. I want to see that. Sorry, my mind's wandering. Go on.
No, I'd love that.
Like arcade ports and doing it.
Yeah, like
you know the whole arcade. Do you remember those old arcades where you sit either side of a pub table?
Oh yeah.
You could just do that holding the Switch. One of you holding each side. Why isn't that more of a thing? Why isn't it more of a thing, Matt?
I don't know. I'll get on it.
Thanks.
I'll do a Kickstarter.
Cheers.
Kickstarter by the morning. It would just be like, yeah, this should be a thing, right? If you back this, I'll do it. Anything else?
£10 million.
I'll record the video straight after this. It's like, well, one day, I was doing a podcast, well, not one day, about half an hour ago, I thought, well, someone said, why isn't there more of them? And I was like, bloody good idea. $40,000, coming out in February, probably.
Plus everything we have for microtransactions.
Yeah.
What, oh God, how long before there's a Kickstarter for a new game that everyone wants, and one of the stretch goals is no microtransactions?
That would be great.
It's going to happen. Yeah. It's going to happen, Matt. No loot crate. Sorry, Andrew. Yeah,
that's all right. It's all right. I'm just making notes right now. I'm going to be doing that tomorrow.
No loot crate.
You want to be really mean? You do all the stretch goals and more and more and more loot crates up until the last one, which is none. So people will have to vote in more and more loot crates before they can get.
Yeah. Oh God, sorry, you didn't quite hit 250,000. It's 249,000. Therefore, we've had to triple the number of loot crates.
Don't blame us. Blame yourselves.
The fans wanted it this way.
Is there anything else on your Switch that you're currently bashing through?
I've played about 2 hours of Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and so far it seems very Xenoblade Chronicles, I guess.
What defines that series? What makes a Xenoblade Chronicles game a Xenoblade Chronicles game?
What makes a Xenoblade Chronicle?
It's actually all about the weirdly colloquial British accents that they've got in the localization. So the main character, I shit you not, it sounds like he's from like maybe Derby or no, Bury, from Bury, and he's got the full accent, and it's Brill. And then,
did you see? Do you follow BitSocket?
Yes.
Did you see their tweets the other night? It was really funny. It was like, I had to switch to Japanese language because I know it's supposed to be a bit funny and quirky or whatever, but the accents are grating on me. And then the next one, it was like, I've gone back to English because there's too much talking. I don't understand what they're saying in Japanese. It's like, what a turnaround.
Sounds about right. I had a similar thing. I started the game, and like the third character you meet. So the first character you meet is you, and you're from Bury. And then the second character's like this sort of creature that you live on the back of. So the Xenoblade thing is those big, enormous Titan creatures that whole societies like live on. And in this game, there's like much, much smaller ones as well. I'm assuming there's big ones, but like your character is like a salvage guy. He's kind of like a pirate, I guess. And you're in the cloud sea, so it's basically exactly the same as the sea, but it's made of clouds. You even go underwater in it. And, you ride around and live on the back of this guy. And he's voiced by, someone whose voice I recognize. It's really bugging me, but he's very sort of thespian British actor. And then the third person you meet is the worst Scottish accent I've ever heard in my life. And it's a total bit part. And it's just like, oh, hello, I'd like, you to pay me some money, pal. And it's just, wow, okay, so at that point, I literally quit the game. I didn't realise that I hadn't saved at that point, and downloaded the Japanese voice pack. And then after 15 minutes, I was like, no, I actually kind of missed this guy from Bury. And I'm so glad I did, because the next character you meet, essentially one of them, is the most heavy Welsh accented person I've ever heard. And it's brilliant, because it's properly authentic, but it's just kind of weird, like hearing all these really clever
you don't
accents.
hear that sort of stuff. Yeah. You start playing a JRPG and hello. Welcome to the spaceship. If you just want to pop over there. What was that? That went a bit weird at the end.
That's all Bristol-ish.
So you're saying that Xenoblade Chronicles, the sort of main appeal of it is the quirkiness and the tone, or?
I think that's what sets it apart from other JRPGs, for me anyway. Like, it's got this stupid epic scale, like I was saying, these like whole societies living on the back of creatures, and these things are, they're there in real time, you are running around on the back of them. Like, like some of the bosses in the God of War series, they were just like these enormous things. It's like, those are tiny compared to some of the creatures that you sort of run around on in these games. But then, there's just like, it's got kind of an irreverence to the way that it's just localized really well. The stories, always start out quite sort of, optimistic and upbeat. And I suppose that's fairly traditional in terms of JRPGs. But I think, the English localization kind of helps make it just feel a little bit more, I don't know, quirky, comfortable. It's not as, I'm probably making it sound like Little Britain, the JRPG. It's not. But yeah.
Cool. Right. Okay. Is that it? Is that your list?
That's it, yeah.
Cool. Excellent. Right, well, let's get on to the questions then, shall we? James?
Okay, yeah, we got some emails.
Did you just make it up?
What day?
Yeah, okay.
We got some emails. The first one's from Josh Crow. He says, hello chaps, for some reason, unbeknownst to me, I fired up Modern Warfare 2 last week to revisit the campaign, and I got to wondering if you could still get an online game, to which I was pleasantly surprised to see that after a mere 5-second wait you can, with ease. That makes 8 years, and thus 8 subsequent games between them and now. Doesn't change the fact that I'm still rubbish at multiplayer, as I always was, but I digress. This got me thinking, are there any online games from this generation you guys think will continue to have thriving online communities well into the lives of the next major numbered console releases? I can see Rocket League being a primary candidate myself.
I think Chet made a whole video series about this very subject, and it was dire. No, it's weird the way that video games as a service, which seems to be the buzzwords at the moment to describe this sort of shit. I think we'll see it becoming more common, that games will continue for a lot longer. Like, I can't see Rocket League dying out for a long time, and I can't see them replacing it with a Rocket League 2 anytime soon either. It's a tricky one. I think there are going to be plenty of games that were released on this generation that will still be played on the next sort of set of consoles.
Yeah.
I think the most shocking thing about that email is that we're 4 years into this life cycle. That's insane. How long was the Xbox out for when the Xbox One was launched? 7 years?
Yep, 7 or 8 years.
So, like, a completely new generation in 3 years' time?
Well, probably not, is it? Because of the way they're doing
well, yeah,
things.
Well, according to Matt, it's next year.
2019, isn't it? T's next year.
You said 2018, actually.
I said
2018, Matt.
Good.
PS5. We'll see. What do you think, Andrew? Do you think we're going to see a lot more of this sort of games continuing cross, like for longer periods of time?
Yeah, I think so. I think, like, even stuff that you maybe don't expect with, like, I was going to say Mario Kart 8, I wouldn't be surprised. Because, like, these, aside from, Rocket League's an obvious one, absolutely, but, that's kind of designed to just have the longest life ever. I think Mario Kart, like, they're not going to do a 9 for the longest time, and until they do.
Oh, God, that sucks.
They're just, you'll just play Mario Kart 8, and everyone will be happy to, right?
That's fine if they're prepared to add to it. Like, I want a whole load of new tracks for that game now. Like, I've played God knows how many hours of that game, and I'm just desperate for, like, here's a whole new 8 cups. And I would pay 20 quid for that. If there was 8 new cups, I would pay 20 quid for it. Easy.
But they keep on, and they keep adding stuff to Splatoon all the time. There's new stuff, like, not weekly, but all the time. They've got, like, new weapons and, like, new maps and stuff keep coming out. So
please do it with Mario Kart.
They just dropped a big
please.
update, didn't they? With, like, There's like 4 new maps or something.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
In your opinion, Andrew, how hard would it be for them to add like a bunch of new cups to Mario Kart now?
If you wait, I'll just text Shigsy.
No, what I mean is that do you think, like, I know that you don't know how the game's put together, and like, just because you're a dev, you don't know how they go, but do you think has a game got to be prepped for that to happen, or can that be added at a later date, do you think?
Unless they made some odd decisions, I think it should be relatively
So Wii U
simple.
had DLC, didn't it? The Wii U version.
Yeah,
but that was designed to have DLC from the start.
I think
like the DLC was announced before the game launched.
They did this. I don't want to go back to Animal Crossing, but I'm going to have to.
Oh, God.
They did this with New Leaf because it came. Like, I think it was not a few months ago, maybe about 6 to 8 months ago. They did like a big update to that, which added like new areas.
Added a new type of fish.
Yeah, new bit of wallpaper. I actually reckon this is
fuck off, man.
This is you fuck off. This is actually like a bit of an EFE prediction, but I reckon there will be like a big update for it next year, because I don't think the Mario Kart 9 is anywhere close, because they really. I know this technically Mario Kart 8 is a Wii U version, but I think it's probably still like a year at least away from like another Mario Kart. So I wouldn't be surprised if
there's not going to be another Mario Kart.
No, I think you're right. I don't think there's going to be a Mario Kart for the Switch. I do think they have to release some more content for Mario Kart 8.
So like a big patch with new tracks and new cars, this, that, and people pay 20 quid or whatever to it. I would not be surprised if that's something that they announce at E3 next year.
Oh man, I would welcome that with open arms, because the game's incredible. I've just absolutely hammered it. There's not enough races in it for me now, and it's killing me. That Star Course is his favourite, and I can't tell you how many times I've had to do that. It's got 2 of the best races in it. The airport, it's got 3 of the best races in it. The airport, Electrodome, and the Mount Wario. But I have just absolutely killed them all. It's ridiculous. So yeah, I want more tracks, man. More characters. What characters should they add? Because I swear I play that game and think, why is this guy not in Mario Kart?
Can you be the Wii Fit woman?
No,
that's in Smash. She's in Smash.
Yeah, we just need more Mario Kart. I'll be happy with that.
A Pikmin cart.
What was the question?
What games are going to continue like multiplayer for like a long time?
Oh, right. Okay. Well, we've covered that. Go on.
Okay. Next one says, Hale, have any of you played old games from the distant past and had a blast with the experience or been disappointed? I only asked because I had a strange urge to play some ZX Spectrum games I had played to death in the early 80s. Old memories came flooding back when I fired up 3D Death Chase, Attic Attack, Airwolf, Legend of Avalon, and Bruce Lee. A couple of hours was enough. Modern gaming is utterly incredible. And that's from John. Not you. Yeah, you hate retro games, don't you, David?
I don't hate them. I just don't play them. I remember going back to Guy Spy once.
I still can't understand that. What were they thinking?
I don't know. I went back to Guy Spy once and thought, actually, this is bullshit. I loved it when I was a kid, but it's a proper full of you're dead now, bye. And also, it's really disappointing going back to Time Splitters 2 and remembering that because the controls have evolved so much since that game come out, it's almost impossible to play now. It's I wish it was more playable. Put it that way.
You get that with a lot of stuff from the N64 era. I mean, it's not that old, but
which ones?
Well, Perfect Dark, for example. If you go back and try and play that,
it's the first-person shooters, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's not.
If you try and play that on the original hardware, it's awful. It's really terrible. It's
whereas Mario 64 still plays like a dream on that system.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and that control switch is weird. Yeah. How about you, Andrew? Is there many games that you've?
The SNES Classic is just amazing for me. I love all the games on that. I think they're all magic. But I played Afterburner, like a proper arcade cabinet version at EGX this year. And I just don't get it. I mean, quite apart from the fact that I basically skinned my shins trying to get in and out of the cabinet. I'm not really the right size for those things, but I just don't know what you're supposed to do in it anymore. I was like, I'm pretty sure I was shooting stuff, but I just die about 30 seconds in every time. No idea how or why, But same day, Point Blank. Amazing. What a game.
Yeah, Point Blank is too good.
So
good.
I got that with, when I played Yakuza, they've got the arcade cabinets in those that you can play, and one of them was Space Harrier. And I still don't really understand why that game is popular, because I just don't think it's very good.
Why was that popular? Because I liked it when I was a kid, but I don't really remember. I think it was just weird. It was like a dude with a gun. It was more like, this is cool, rather than I'm enjoying playing this thing.
Yeah.
How about you, Matt?
I don't have enough time for modern games, so I certainly haven't got time to go back to old ones.
Oh, Matt, fuck off. I hate people that say stuff. I've not got time for this.
Well, I
yes,
don't.
you have. You need to make time for it.
I haven't got time to play all these games and Destiny and clear up, Game of the Year stuff, and then have an evening to play old games. No chance.
You've never played old games.
I mean, I'm playing Dark Souls at the moment.
He definitely hasn't. I mean, he hasn't played any of the Mario games ever, has he?
Oh, God. Did you see any of his Dark Souls stream last night, Andrew?
No, I was meant to have a little look today, actually, but I didn't.
Hilarious. I mean, have you played Dark Souls?
Yeah.
Do you know how important Andre the Blacksmith is?
Yes, yeah.
Well, Matt gets to Andre the Blacksmith last night, and people in the chat are going, just whatever you do, don't hit him. Whatever you do, don't hit him. So Matt goes, no, I'm not going to attack him. And then he goes through the mentions, the menus, and he's like going, okay, I can sell this, I could do this. And then he looks at the chat and he noticed someone subscribed and goes, oh, thanks for subscribing. You could see his arms moving a bit, and he accidentally hit the attack button.
Oh, God.
And literally, he must have been about a pixel away from just twatting Andre in the face. He was so close to completely destroying everything he'd done already. Matt, you don't understand. If you touch him with your sword, you might as well reset the game. Now, you can get through the game without Andre, but you've just made it a million times harder. You can't.
Well, if I'm going to get through the game, I might as well do it the hardcore way. But luckily I missed him, and
Matt
it was fine.
What was it? I think it was about 30 seconds with his hand over his mouth, just looking at the screen.
I was so shocked. Oh, God, it could have all ended there. But yeah.
But you're doing well. You needed a bit of a pet talk last night.
Yeah,
but
it's good to have a new one. It's good that you can just jump on Discord and everyone can hear you, and it's like a little bit of a live show. It's good. This week's episode was way better than the one previously, because I killed that boar boss. I ran past those enemies. I got to Cathedral and I got to the next bonfire. So now from here on out, this is places I haven't been before. So I'm a bit more scared now, but yeah, hopefully maybe I'll get.
You're not too far from the next boss. Put it that way. You're not too far from the next boss.
I'm ringing my first bell, which I'm very excited about.
How long has he got until he's got the Capra Demon?
Oh, I think the Capra Demon, isn't it? Yeah, I think the Capra Demon's after Gargoyles, I think, if I remember correctly. I'll have to go back.
I can't wait for that. I'm absolutely going to be tuning in for that.
Because you access it through the door by the bridge, which you can't do until... of course it is, because it's Capra Demon, then you're down to Blighttown.
Well, so when I went to see Andre, if I kept going down, wasn't there like a massive demon in a hall?
There is, but don't worry about that.
What's that?
That's on the way to Sif, I think, isn't it?
Okay.
Sif the dog thing, James.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
You go down there. But yeah, you want to do that later.
Yeah.
You want to do that later. Jesus, it's weird how you can remember stuff from that game. I mean, I'm probably wrong, but there's still big parts of that game just etched into my head. It was mental. Okay,
anyway,
cool.
Don't play
Next
all games.
question.
Let's move on.
Okay, next one's from Adam Turner. He says, hi all, I'm really looking forward to your Game of the Year show this year. I can't wait to hear who stabs who in the back first. That is, if David has managed to remove the 3 knives from his back from last year. My only concern is that Zelda will steamroll the event, as you all love the game so much. Have you guys considered if Zelda will run away with the competition? May I offer a solution? You all agree Zelda is Game of the Year, and therefore not nominated. Then you leave the competition wide open for a second Game of the Year. This will allow games like Yakuza, James, and Future Unfolded, David, or is it Unfolding?
Unfolding.
Yeah, a chance for some limelight. We'll also get another situation like last year when you guys were the only team with Trackmania as your Game of the Year.
Exactly. You can't, because we were saying about this and we were going, Zelda's probably going to, smash it this year. But, I mean, last year, none of us going into that would have said that Trackmania would come out the winner.
No way.
It's weird. It's definitely like walking, like what it felt like last year, and we weren't prepared for it. Walking into a forest with a plan, and then that plan going out of the window the moment like you're about a mile in, and then coming out like completely different people with something you didn't expect to pick up.
No one would have ever, none of us, no one listening would have ever said, yeah, I think it'd probably be Trackmania. Like, that came from nowhere. Yeah.
And then by the end of it, we were all kind of like, yeah, no, it's not a bad game of the year, to be fair. I'm quite happy with that. Yeah. So, I've got a feeling there's a couple of games that are going to give it a run for money.
Like, we've got games like Mario. We've got, other games, probably. Like Mario and Zelda, Farpoint, probably, that will probably, Stardew Valley, probably. That'll be up there.
I don't know, because if you've got James, I don't know about you, but if Life is Strange ends as strongly as it has been, that's going to be, if that really emotionally grabs me in that last episode, that could challenge. I think that could be a contender.
Yeah.
Genuinely. Think about it. Like, think about how it's affected you the first 2 episodes. And alright, Zelda was this huge thing, but if that affects you more on a personal level to the point where you're like, how it has been doing in the previous 2 episodes, like, if they come up against each other, that's going to fuck my brain up a little bit, because I've adored both games, but I think I've had a personal attachment more to Life is Strange. You're thinking about it now, aren't you, James?
I'm thinking about it, yeah.
Not so easy, is it, mate?
I have already started writing down arguments for some of the games I got on my list.
Good luck. All of yours are VR games and no one gives a shit. Next question.
Dave, props to you for giving Matt actually good Dark Souls advice, letting his shield drop, and positive feedback. There was so much troll advice or condescending advice coming in the chat, but you actually gave him relevant advice for his current skill level. People need to wake up and realise they weren't soul level 1 and parrying the Taurus demon in their first playthrough of the game.
Yeah, there's like 60 plus people watching, shouting at me, and laughing at me, or with me, but mostly at me.
It's part of the fun, isn't it?
In defence of the chat, they're in the joke. They know what they're doing. They're fucking around. So I wouldn't take it too seriously.
Oh, no, I'm not.
But it's quite funny to watch Matt sweating. Like, he looks at him. What am I supposed to do? That's the opposite of what this guy's saying. What do I do next? It's really funny.
Yeah. I feel bad when I ignore the chat, but I do need to learn to ignore it a bit more.
I was going to send you an Xbox Live message to see how you were getting on, but, just didn't get around to it. Anyway.
You've taken that joke too far. I started that joke and you ruined it.
No, I didn't. It was fine. I only did it a couple of times.
No, you didn't. I was okay, he's read it now.
No, it was fine, because then he also screwed up one of the bosses as well, which was good. But, Anyway.
Nasty bastard.
About Dark Souls. James and Dave, you obviously have a great respect for the game. Why haven't you tried Bloodborne? I just got a PS4 and I'm playing it for the first time, and it is a special game. I get your lack of interest in the other Dark Souls games because you've already played the most significant one, but Bloodborne is significantly different. The more sinister, scary setting, no shields, more aggressive combat. It tops many people's favourite Soulsborne game lists. What's holding you back from it?
Nothing. I've played a hell of a lot of that game.
You played it. I mean to, but I just haven't got around to it. It's, I don't know.
Yeah, it's really good. I think I got a little bit too bogged down. Like, I'm not great with horror anyway, and I don't like being on edge. And playing Dark Souls puts you on edge as it is. So to have that sort of fear inside you, plus the horror stuff, it sent me over the edge a bit and sent me a bit mad. But yeah, I got past Rum, and did some stuff after that, and then I had to move on to other stuff. But yeah, I mean, James, you need to play it. I've got a copy. I've got a copy. I'll send it to you.
Really? I thought you weren't going to do
absolutely.
that anymore. And I did return all that stuff, didn't I? So,
James, I'll send you it. You will love it. Genuinely,
okay.
Genuinely love it. And not only that, you played. You didn't use your shield much with Dark Souls, did you?
No, I didn't. No, it was
no. And this will be made for you. I'll send it over.
Sounds perfect for me as well.
Mr. Shieldman, you might as well have equipped a shield to your forehead,
I'll tell you what, I think towards the end of that playthrough, that we did when we were doing the other show, I spent a lot of time just running around like in the underwear, because it was just quicker.
Well, I know, but Matt needs to learn the mechanics first. He needs to learn how to backstab. So he needs to do this stuff before he can start running around. Which is exactly what I did towards the end as well. But when you're starting out, you need to learn how the game works first. Know what I mean, mate.
Okay, next question comes from Greg. He says, until last week, I'd been playing Battlefront 2. I'd heard a lot of chat about it along the lines of, there's a really good game underneath all the loot box progression stuff, but after giving it a good go, these people seem to be talking out of their arse. Discounting all the loot box progression stuff at its core, it is a deeply mediocre game with really real shit mixed in there, as well as odd moments of fun in spite of itself. However, what really coloured my experience of the game and made me much harsher critic than I might otherwise have been is that the game just kept reminding me of all the things I've done in Titanfall 2 and how it did things better. From the really fundamental stuff like just aiming the gun with the pads to much bigger, more obvious stuff like level design. If I hadn't played Titanfall 2, I might not have noticed all the issues I have with it quite so clearly. My question is, have you ever played a game which has actively ruined other similar games for you? That you might have otherwise enjoyed but they can't live up to the other game that you played. And that's from Greg.
Well, I mean, Titanfall 2 is definitely up there. That game is too good.
Mario 64 ruined Tomb Raider for me.
What? How did it do that?
Well, so I had
it's so totally different.
I know, but just the whole like Mario's free and everywhere you can see you can go and you're just sort of running around. Tomb Raider's it's like you're on a grid. And
it really is,
it just felt so restrictive. I was just like, no. Plus the drowning in both of those games.
Mario 64 ruined Croc 3D for me. Which is never the same.
See, imagine at the moment, Yooka Laylee is about to come out on Switch. And it's after Mario Odyssey came out. I mean, it's, I don't think anyone's going to want to play that if they play Mario Odyssey.
It's such a shame because, I mean, I had high hopes for that. Secretly, I didn't want to get too excited because, I'm a big Banjo-Kazooie fan, but the reports of what that game was like when it came out was so disheartening.
They did a big patch, though, that addressed a bunch of that, apparently.
Oh, yeah. Have they put some good in it now? Yeah. Patch notes. Good. Added.
I liked it.
The game is now good.
Yeah.
No, we get it.
I thought just ran the point home,
Just put that one to bed. Just tuck it in. Just tuck that joke in.
Now, James. It's very clear what was being implied.
I can't think of a game that's completely destroyed other games for me. I mean, Freeze has completely destroyed any other mobile game that I've ever loaded onto my phone because I'm like, well, I'll just play Freeze instead. That's been pretty bad. And I suppose Forza Horizon, when I went back to Burnout Paradise and I went through a phase of playing that again. And of course, obviously, it come out way later on a much more powerful console or whatever, but it does show up the limitations of Burnout Paradise and, the way that series has evolved. That Forza Horizon 3 is just utterly stunning. I love that game. So I guess that counts, but I guess
Destiny,
it kind of don't. I don't know.
I think the shooting in that is so good that I now judge all first-person shooters based on, especially the shooting model. The gun feel, definitely, I compare it to Destiny.
Yeah, the gun feel is incredible. I don't think any other games come close to that, apart from maybe Doom. Doom, it feels incredible as well, but in a different way. It's certainly highlighted, especially playing through Destiny 2 now, alongside playing Wolfenstein. It does highlight how big of a gap there is between enjoying the shooting in Destiny and not enjoying it so much in Wolfenstein. And I think maybe I wouldn't care as much if I was just focusing on Wolfenstein, but when I'm playing them side by side, I'm like, fuck, if I'm shooting shit, I'd rather be shooting shit in this game. It's a shame. Have you got any examples, Andrew?
GTA 3, when that came out, ruined basically everything else. Just because it was just so ridiculous. I'm trying to think, like, Rez, like, changed how I saw games, but I can't think of a game that it kind of
knocked out.
Yeah, I feel like every other rhythm game up until that point had been really cool, and then I played Rez, and it was like, oh, no, this is, like, again, it's like your threes thing. It's like, if I'm going to play a rhythm game, why wouldn't I just play this?
Yeah. I don't like. Going back to the older eras. I definitely think that Diddy Kong Racing destroyed Mario Kart 64 for me, because I was like that dickhead. Oh yeah, but no. Let me explain. I was that dickhead kid that had to sort of pick a team, and instead of saying actually these are both very, very good games, I was like, no, Mario Kart 64 is nowhere near as good as Diddy Kong Racing, mate. And it wasn't until later in life where you go back and play it and go, actually, this is really fucking good. Of course it is. I was just in that thing where, like, you pick sides. Like Matt Murray and his Sega.
Look, don't mock them.
Sega lid. Alright, okay, next question.
You're not going to ask me?
Oh, alright, go on.
No, that's all right. We can move on to the tweets.
No. You can't just sit there quiet, not joining in, and then get offended when I'm on to move the show.
What do you mean not joining in? You ask Matt, then you ask, I've forgotten his name, Andy.
Jesus Christ.
I'm joking. Anyway.
No, he wasn't.
I'm joking, Tom. Andy. Gag man.
Genuine. But yeah. And then so you ask them, and then don't bother asking me. And then as soon as I say something, you're just like...
James, then go on. Stop fucking whining.
Go on. Alright, go on. Deus Ex, the original one of those, that ruined first-person shooter games for a while for me. Because even though it's not an amazing first-person shooter, I really enjoyed all like the RPG stuff.
I loved the first. I loved the first one. It's so good.
For a long time, there wasn't any other stuff like that. So yeah, that was a good one. Should we do tweets then?
Yeah.
The first
I don't know, have you got anything else to say?
No, I'm good.
Don't want to hurt your feelings. No.
Because you haven't got the doc open, have you? You haven't bothered having a look.
Well, go on. What was your point?
Combine Hunter says there's been
lots of... What the fuck is that?
There's been a lot of discussion about what moments we reckon Matt will struggle with going through Dark Souls, but what moments are Dave and James betting Matt will positively enjoy?
Next question. No.
I think...
I think he'll be loving the social interaction. That'll be one thing.
No, seriously, I mean, Matt is one of these people that wears his heart on his sleeve, and I think when he beats a boss, you will see just joy personified. Like, especially the fact that he's streaming it. When you see Matt beat something big in that game or get over a hump, you will see... Matt, I can't wait for you to... That's why I really want you to stick with it. Because I think when you beat some of the bigger bosses in this game, you are going to be on, like... You're going to be shaking with adrenaline.
I can't wait for that. I've been shaking with adrenaline if I get one backstabbing. So...
yeah.
But the
trust me, that's... Yeah, the stuff that will...
I would still bet money that he's not going to get past that Capra Demon. I just don't think it's going to happen.
But surely I can just keep at it and I'll get it done, right? I mean...
How much?
Doable.
Alright, I'll bet you a tenner, Dave, that he doesn't do it.
You're on. I'll take a tenner.
Dave, James,
I'll take a tenner. I reckon Matt will get past the Capradino.
If you start something, you finish it, that's clearly bullshit from all the games that you've not finished.
That is a fucking good point.
If I really
Matt, shut the fuck up. Matt, shut up. Don't talk him out of this bet. I know you're going to do this. I know you do. I believe in you. I totally think you'll do it. James... Is that our digital handshake?
Yep.
10 quid.
I'm happy with that, yeah.
Sweet. I'm up for that. Come on, Matt. You've got to do it now, son.
I was going to
say
this to the end of the show, but I'm not going to do it anymore. I am sick of it.
You owe me a tenner. Shit. I was like, yeah, your next Twitch cut. Right, okay.
Okay.
What was the question? What are the bits that you'd enjoy? James? Have you got any?
If he gets through that, and he does get to Sins and Smoke, then I'm sure that he'll definitely really enjoy that after he's beaten it, because that was the best moment for me. I loved it.
See, I think if he's going to duck out anywhere, it'd be that.
You think?
But we've just got to keep convincing him to do it, basically. And you will do it, Matt.
See,
you'll do it. You'll smash it.
The reason I think he's going to get stuck at the Capra Demon is because if he's only playing this on Sunday nights, it's like it requires like that getting through
I don't think he will. I was saying this to John earlier. I think I think we're going to get a few midweek streams.
Yeah, I feel like I'm going to have to too, because also, if I'm leaving a week, and then when he comes back to Sunday night, I'm like forgetting where I was, forgetting the menus, forgetting the buttons, so I almost certainly will ramp it up at some point. And I'm going to want to play more, I think, anyway, because even now I'm like, I wouldn't mind playing a bit tonight. Well, obviously not tonight, we're recording, but I might increase the stream count. But it's also nice just saying every Sunday at 9. It's
It is, but then you could get a few cheeky ones in. I'm looking forward to seeing how you I'm just really excited for those moments where you do something big in it. That's gonna be class.
Yeah, me too.
It's going to be class.
I'll give you a tenner if you go and kill the blacksmith.
Don't do not take that.
100 quid and we're talking.
Add a 0, please.
£200.
Go on.
Big Shrimmy Wall says, do you think there'll be many things that will ever use the motion sensor in the Switch's right Joy-Con? Or is it just one of those features that will be quietly forgotten about?
It's an odd one, isn't it? You use it to eat sandwiches in 1-2 Switch.
Hang on, so only the right Joy-Con has got...
Yeah.
No, he's talking about the infrared stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know where
Okay, cool. Okay, yeah. So he's not thinking about... He's not thinking about the accelerometer. Okay, cool. Yes.
No,
good point.
No. Yeah, I don't know why. I mean, developers aren't really going to be tempted to use that because it limits the amount of ways you can play their game, right? Is that the feeling? That's got to be.
Yeah, you're not going to do a lot of that.
Then
stuff
can
on
only
the train,
play it with that detached. No. Although I'm so tempted to play that sandwich eating game all the way up to Manchester on a Virgin train.
It's like do it in rush hour.
The train will stop for a bit at a platform, and you know where it all goes quiet. No, before it goes to a platform, the train stops and it's waiting for the next train to move, and you just hear like in the corner just where you go.
The sandwich man comes around with his trolley, and you're like, "No, I'm all right, mate. I'm all right.
I'm
fucking stuffed."
Also, the fact is that the Pro Control doesn't have that infrared. It's like they're limiting it by, I don't think no other games are going to have it, are they?
I don't know what they were going for. It's weird. It is weird.
All right. Busker Lily says, are you more or less interested in purchasing Xenoblade Chronicles 2 because it has excessively big anime boobs in it?
I mean, that's a definite...
What is that? It's a Nintendo game, isn't it? Why is all this stuff happening? I thought they were dead against all that.
It's a JRPG, isn't it?
And they had Bayonetta, didn't they? It wasn't that all about that stuff as well?
No, it's Sega.
Yeah, but that was on Wii.
Yeah, but it was a Sega game.
Didn't Nintendo publish the second one?
They did, yeah.
Yeah, but it's made by Sega, wasn't it?
Either way, I mean, Xenoblade Chronicles... I mean, I have asked for it for Christmas, so there's your answer.
But James, it was made by Sega.
James is pervert. Next.
Darrow M85 says, since we are 4 years into the current generation, do any of you have a definitive game of the generation? For me, it's Bloodborne.
I don't agree with that. I read this today. I don't think Bloodborne can be.
What? Why not? It's PS4.
It's fantastic. It's fantastic. However, but when people talk about it, they say it's, it's kind of the same as Dark Souls, right? It's Dark Souls brought into the new generation. I don't think it defines the generation. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
I'm not doubting the quality of that game in the slightest, so don't all go mental. Don't all tweet all your Dark Souls mates on Twitter because I know what they're like. It's fantastic. I don't think it defines the genre. I would say games like
Zelda Breath of the Wild. I mean,
yes, yeah, but I think that is a very, very good contender. Breath of the Wild is a very good contender. I also think possibly Overwatch, possibly Destiny in some ways. I don't, the way.
Are we choosing games that we think are our favourite over the last since the generation, or the one that defines the generation?
That defines the generation. That was the question, wasn't it?
I mean, do we have?
Yeah,
I mean,
James.
There could have been his use of the word definitive. I mean, is he saying what's our favourite game of the generation, or what are we choosing as a game that defines where
But read the actual question bit again, James.
Since we are 4 years into the current generation, do any of you have a definitive game of the generation? For me, it's Bloodborne.
Right, I see. Yeah, it's not.
It could be either.
I don't know what you mean by that. If you're saying favourite game of the generation, then for me, it's probably Rocket League.
Oh, yeah.
But if you're saying a game that defines the generation, then shit. I mean, that it's definitely the games of service stuff like Overwatch and stuff like that, I guess. Yeah. It's hard to nail down, isn't it? Like, what is this generation about? I mean, we said it at the time.
I mean, this is a weird one, but I think PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds could be one that defines it, because this sort of game wouldn't have been around before, say, like the Twitch era of gaming. Like, this game feels like has been designed and built for streaming, to watch and it's early access. It's blown up. It's like 25, but it's probably 30 million by the time I'm saying this. It's absolutely blown up. I think that could definitely be up there if we're going to use a game to define what a generation is, and maybe what couldn't have been done previously.
But isn't
although that's not out on consoles, so
probably
Fortnite is the game that defines the generation of consoles.
Fortnite Battle Royale, yeah.
Do you know what? Yeah, I think Zelda Breath of the Wild is as good a shout as I've heard, because that just completely flips everything on its head. My word! Actually, that might be a good shout. I mean, certainly not for me, because I loved Horizon Zero Dawn, but that game was killed by Zelda.
Definitely,
for a lot of
I
people,
tried to play Horizon afterwards, and I was like, no way, I just can't do it. The great thing about having potentially Zelda as it is that it takes so many influences, like things like Metal Gear Solid, things like The Witcher, Portal. It's got, you can see so many other games in it, but it's a game that takes those influences and builds on them.
I think you've got to give it a little bit more credit. I think it does a hell of a lot that those games don't.
Yeah, it does, but you can see where there's other influences and other things that are in its DNA, but it's like taken it to the next level. It's like changed it, it's evolved it, it's got its own Nintendo spin on it.
Yeah, it's a good game. It's a good game. I wonder what this game of the year is going to be. Go on, let's go.
Dirty Bristow says, just got a Switch plus Mario in the Black Friday sales. Apart from the obvious Zelda Splatoon, what are some of the more niche titles I should get for it?
Tumbleseed is very good. It's a lot of fun. I would recommend Tumbleseed. And it feels great in handheld mode because you're controlling each side of a stick and the sticks are each side of the screen. So it's it's good.
I've got a whole tons of stuff on this machine.
Oh, go on.
I've bought so many games on here. Puyo Puyo Tetris is brilliant. It's a great release of that. Mario plus Rabbids is really good. I really like Shantae, but other people don't. But Wonder Boy was also fantastic. That's kind of niche and was really good. Stardew Valley, I guess, if you like that kind of thing.
I guess.
Interesting.
Golf Story. Definitely get that. That's really good fun.
SteamWorld Dig 2.
Mario Kart. I mean, this machine's got no games.
Clips. Yeah.
This machine's got no games, has it? Perfect.
Oh, shut up, Matt. I hate people that are doing that. That's what people said at the start.
They're not saying
that
was
anymore.
a joke.
Yeah, I know. But you know what I mean.
Okay, Fine Excuses says, when James recovers from the tedium of Two Souls, what is your recommendation for his next stream? I say forget Cage and go for LA Noire.
I think you should do...
I'm retired. I'm not doing
Deadly
anymore,
Premonition.
But, no. I don't want to play any more games.
You don't want to play any more games?
I don't want to play any more games that way, because I don't know, that Two Souls stream was horrible, and I really didn't enjoy it.
I would genuinely like to watch you stream some FIFA career mode.
Why? It's really boring.
I just want to see what you're up to. Do you do the commentary in your house? Like when you're sitting there playing it, do you do pretend commentary?
No.
But you did do that at one point in your life, right?
Well, yeah, of course, but I don't do that now.
You don't do that now?
No.
I mean, I've not played FIFA for a while, but the last FIFA game that I took seriously, I was probably still doing that.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I know I was.
Just in my front room. I mean, there was an adult, but I was sitting there going, "Oh, Millwall are in trouble now."
I was not only doing commentary, I was also wearing my Palace top.
What?
When I was playing it. Just, yeah, anyway.
You put your Palace top on? I mean, I guess that's okay for a Palace fan. I mean, that's standard behaviour, but... Go on.
Okay, last one we got is from Pete Beckett. He says, as your end of the year show will be coming up, and we have already heard about some of the great games we played this year, I wanted to know what's the worst games that you come out this year or that you played this year.
Oh, I really didn't like... what? Oh, no. That was last year. Are there any games that I genuinely didn't get on with?
This year's been too good.
There's been a lot of good stuff. It's been easy to avoid rubbish, isn't it? Because it's just been... There's been so much good stuff that it's like, why would you even bother, chancing it with other things?
I even had time for Mass Effect. I thought that was pretty, people slated it and stuff, but I didn't mind it at all. Oh, come on, there must have been a game that I've played this year that I didn't like. They're so easily forgettable. I don't focus on games that I don't get on with.
Yeah, and
I drop them and move on.
I mean, we've covered this definitely before, but if there's a bad game, I just won't buy it, and I'll play the good ones, thank you. But surely, in terms of disappointments, Mass Effect must be up there for you. I know it hasn't said disappointments, but
I guess it wasn't as good as the other three, but I didn't hate it. I still really enjoyed what I played of it. I guess it was disappointing, but I wasn't angry with it. Wasn't there a game that came out recently that everyone was let down by?
I mean,
Battlefront 2?
Battlefront was the
apart from
most
Battlefront
recent one.
I can't remember. Jesus, my brain's fried.
I'm racking my brains, honestly. I can't think of any. I'm annoyed that I'm not more into Animal Crossing, but it's not because it's bad, it's just, I've got a Switch, so...
Yeah. Mobile games are always a bit of a coin toss anyway, aren't they?
Yeah.
It's like you go into them thinking, yeah, this could be shit. It's like you're going with low expectations, I think. So it's a little bit easier to handle.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that wasn't great. Go on next.
Is that it? That's the last one, yeah.
Andrew, thanks for joining us. It was great to hear your voice again.
Me too.
How's things going over at Spilt Milk Studios these days?
They're going well. We're still working on the MMO, Lazarus. You can still get your skin's still a thing in it, hopefully looking out for it on early next year on early access.
So what are you planning to launch on Steam, is it?
Steam, yeah, we'll do Steam early access sort of early next year, and then we'll sort of ramp up from there, see where it goes.
How long have you been working on it?
Oh, crikey, just over a year now.
Right, because in my head you've been working on it for 2 or 3 years. I think that was maybe when you were first, because I'm sure you mentioned the idea of it to me a while ago.
Yeah, it used to be an iPad, it was like Shooty Skies turned into, but it was like that, but 4 years ago or something, and then we shelved it, and then it came back as an MMO because
So how's the process been for you so far? Is it have you found a sort of group of people that are dead behind it and excited for it to, finally see the early access launch?
Hopefully. I think we've been a bit slow on some updates recently. We were doing sort of fortnightly, but because of tech stuff, we weren't able to keep up to that. But we're getting back towards that now, and that's where you sort of see the people reacting. But every time we share the concept art and any GIFs or anything like that, it's gone down all right. So yeah, pretty excited.
And the artwork's been fantastic. The stuff you've been tweeting out, it looks insane. The one thing that I am interested in now, I know it's a completely different kettle of fish because you're a free-to-play game, but with all that's gone on over the past month, and it being such a hot topic about microtransactions and stuff, how much of that has had an effect on your development of Lazarus? Have you had to adjust things, or do you think that the situations everyone's moaning about is so far removed from what you're doing anyway that it hasn't really been an issue? Yeah,
to be honest, it's more the latter. We've always said it will be free to play. It'll always have microtransactions, loot crates, and similar stuff in it. So I feel like anyone who's come to the game and is enjoying it, they're sort of ready for that. And there's a big market of people who for that they expect it, especially younger people, where it does get a bit iffy, I suppose, if you are worried about gambling and stuff like that. But generally, there's like a generation of gamers growing up where it's like people just expect games to be free, and so you got to sort of roll with it. So, and regardless of that, we're too far along to change it now. So yeah.
And how can people? Because people could play it now, right? They've just got to sign up.
You can go to playlazarus.com and you just like plop your email in, and you get sent a Steam key, and as simple as that. And
you said the code still works, so go in there and type Smash, and then get the computer game show skin. Represent. I'm gutted I can't play it, but you made a fucking good tweet the other day. Because I've only got a Mac at home and it's only available on Windows PC or whatever. And you tweeted out saying, next time someone asks you to, why is this not available for Mac? Have a look at these stats on percentage of Steam users for Mac and percentage that are using Windows machines. And it was, what was it? It was 99.4% or something stupid, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was using Windows. It's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. I mean, it's still quite a lot of people, because there's so many people there. But yeah, it's pretty low. It's pretty low. We still love you, though, Mac users. We still love you.
Oh, was I not? Yeah, no, you put it on Twitter. I'm alright.
That's all good.
I just thought, was that a private conversation? No, no. Actually, I'm at that stage of the night where I don't know what I'm saying or doing anymore. But yeah, so next time. You'll have to come on the show just as it launches and let us know how it's going.
I'd love to.
For real. Right, thanks for... Oh, Matt does his thing, then he gone.
I haven't got much to say this week, but I just wanted to... obviously, we're doing a Game of the Year draft next week, so send in any of your picks for Game of the Year. It'd be great.
The stupid thing to do.
Why?
Can't do that yet. They got to do it next week.
Well, the week after, innit? Because otherwise that'll flavour as. Is that what you're saying?
What?
But because what? Because that will. Are you saying if they choose?
I'm saying
now,
they can't do it because they don't know what's not made the list yet.
Good point.
All of a sudden, everyone going, I think Mario Odyssey should be nominated for the. So yeah,
just follow us on Twitter. We're at Computer Game Pod. That's it. And leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We really want some reviews on Apple Podcasts. So that does well for us in the charts. Gets more people seeing the show. Yeah, and just leave us a review. Tell a friend. That's all you want. I'll be doing Dark Souls 9 PM on Sunday night on Twitch. Search us over on Twitch, and any other YouTube stuff we do is over on our YouTube channel. So just check us out there.
As usual, thanks for living it. We really appreciate you taking the time out to listen to our voices. We'll catch you next week with a special guest. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.